Hey guys and girls, Nathan here. See, hey boys, we've got Roland. Um, Everyone, can you hear us all good? Can you see us? Can you see the screen with the display on it? All the IT's working for everyone online. You can just leave a little message in the question box to let me know. That would be fantastic. Awesome, cool. Cool. Welcome aboard, guys and girls. Thanks a lot for tuning in with our webinar for the last one for 2020. And what a year it has been. Very, very interesting times. Been one of the most exciting years of my life. It's probably been the happiest. I was talking to my mate Beau here. I'll introduce Beau in a second, but what a year it's been. So 2020 for probably 90% of the people out there, maybe 80% of the people, would have thought 2020 was the shittest year of their life. For me, for a lot of you guys that are watching, this year has probably been one of your best years as well. Lots of cool things happening, and the reason why 2020 was such a great year, I believe, is just due to the fact that we were prepared. There's an opportunity that arose. Never let a good crisis go to waste, and 2021 I think is going to be one of the biggest years. I'm so excited to go into it. So yeah, I've just seen here someone saying this year has been a great year, which is awesome. So cool. So getting along, I've got a special guest today. We have got Beau Chase with us. So thanks for joining, Beau.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Just a little bit about Beau. I've got some of Beau's credentials on the screen here. I'll let Beau do an intro for himself. But just from my side, I've known Beau for almost 10 years now, 8, 9 years, something like that. Time flies. I was skinnier. I had less grey hair. Life was different. It was a different place back then. But it's been fun. Beau is like a business consultant where he helps people with their businesses. Always talk about building a property portfolio, and you need to treat it like a business. I think you need to treat your home life like a business. I think you need to have structures, KPIs, targets. To get ahead in life, you need to be structured and disciplined. And that's why I thought we'd bring Beau on this evening. Beau has helped out with our business here at B.Invested over the course of 2020. It's been fun. I still remember everyone was going into lockdown. We're in the basement of the car park. Everyone's freaking out. You can see this guy's the happiest guy in the world. And yeah, I turned around to him and I was like, what a fucking year. What cool stuff is happening at the moment. And he's like, I remember Beau was saying, he remembered I was talking about it like 2-3 years ago. Everyone thought I was stupid and off my head. We had mates that were saying, oh, stop talking shit, Birchy. And Beau looked at it, he's like, that's really cool and interesting. And Beau's been down different paths himself. And yeah, we had a big laugh in the car park, and it's like, the year might be fucked up for everybody, but it's at least we can spend the year having fun together. And we've had a great year and great laughs and cool things that we've been able to achieve. So yeah, maybe Beau, if you want to give a bit of a background on yourself and share with everyone, if you guys have got businesses that are watching here, if you like what Beau talks about, maybe you can reach out and send me a message and say, look, you'd like to connect with Beau, and maybe he can chat to you about strategy and planning for your business as well. But Beau, maybe give us a background.
Appreciate it, Nate. So I originally from Melbourne. I moved to Sydney back in 2007 for an opportunity to work with a company that was going places. And in Melbourne, I didn't really have those opportunities. So I relocated interstate to work with a really high growth business. I just thought, I didn't really know they were high growth, but I knew they had all the right values and characteristics of a business that I wanted to learn from. And I got a foot in the door with them and moved to Sydney, worked with them over a kind of 2.5-3 year period. Yeah, literally got a foot in the door with that company, and then worked our way into going around on national tours and running events for them. And we helped grow that business from 8 million to 28 million in 2 years. Learned some tremendously valuable skill sets there. Left that business and helped another business. So I've grown a multitude of businesses over the last 13 years since moving to Sydney. But for me, it's all about surrounding myself with successful people, role models, mentors who are operating at a higher level that I can associate with and hang around. I can learn from. And being around that environment is going to inspire me and push me, motivate me, frustrate me, to do more and to do better. You know, when you see other people succeed and you're operating at half your pace, you're like, shit, I've got to really pick up my game and I've got to learn something new, you know, from a mindset point of view to push myself to that next level. So being really hungry, I probably put about $150,000 into my education after leaving high school. I went to uni for 3 weeks, dropped out. That was really boring. And I just started investing in myself. And, you know, the more you earn, the more you know, the more you can learn, the more you can apply, the more value you can bring to any environment or situation you're involved with. So that first company, we grew quite aggressively over that 2 years, and I was a fly on the wall, really, you know, fresh, didn't have a lot of experience, but learnt everything and realized I was pretty good with communication and sales and people, and then took all those skill sets from that first business into the next venture. You know, surrounded ourselves, built a really cool, cool and core team. We helped grow that business from 1.5 to over 6 million in 12 months. Due to systems, procedures, digital strategy, building the right work culture that's, you know, going above and beyond for the clients and having a really good product that, you know, we can get behind and really endorse. Then from there, helped a friend's business that was just getting started. It was doing about 100 to 150,000 turnover. We grew that to 9.5 million in 3 years. In its fourth year, I stepped away after that period. And then in its fourth year, with all the right momentum and structure and partnerships we put in place, it did $27 million in turnover, which was phenomenal. Then the last business I've been involved with, got involved, was doing about 1.5. We took it to 6.5 million in 2 years. So I love growth. Yeah. I love fast-paced work environments. And yeah, you know, just surrounding myself with success. And over that period of time, you know, being able to, you know, get in front of a lot of people through the events and conferences and so forth that I've been a part of, and then being able to advise and speak with, you know, probably over 3,000 businesses in the last kind of 8 to 10 years. And funnily enough, like when I first came across, you know, B.Invested and Nathan, I'm like, shit, who is this guy? You know, I need to know him. I need to, you know, I need him as one of my mates. I need better mates like Nathan. So I literally he was painting. He was on a roadshow. I think he was up on the Central Coast, New South Wales, painting a house. I'm like, shit, what would I do to go and paint a house with him for free, just so I could have a day with him, to get a day of his time? And before long, built a relationship here and there, went to some events, became a client. So I've got 6 properties in our portfolio, and looking to obviously build upon that, and obviously worked on building some of my own businesses at the time, invested in a number of businesses as well. So yeah, I'm very passionate, very driven, and yeah, like obviously with Nathan, I said, I'm going to get to know this guy and I'm going to work with him, and he's going to become one of my best mates. And that was my intention, that was my goal. And I did whatever I could to add value, bring the energy, bring the right people together. And, you know, I ended up probably referring 50 or 60 clients to B.Invested, because I was just passionate about, hey, you know, you're driven, you're hungry, you need to surround yourself with these guys that are actually leveraging, you know, capital and putting into investments to scale. So yeah, a little bit about me.
Thanks for sharing, Beau, and thanks for all your help this year in the business as well. There's been areas of the B.Invested group which were lacking. Probably communication was the biggest one, you know, with the community. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. Beau, and you know, obviously I've always said that building a property portfolio, you need to you know, treat it like a business, and yeah, so let's get into it. I've got lots of things to talk about and cover off this evening. We're going to try and always I'm going to wrap things up in an hour, but I think we're going to go for maybe 2 hours today, Beau, but let's
let's see how we do that.
So tonight I want to cover off why we should set goals, the importance of setting goals, smart goals, how to and how not to set a goal, and why that is important. 2021 goals, I want to be interactive with you guys, so you have got a message box to write questions in. I can see that, no one else can see it, so if you have things that you want to message through, someone just said, stop flipping the screen, you'll give me Tourette's. I think I was like shaking because I've got like ADD and I'm always on the move. And when I look at Beau with his energy, I just, you know, have to move as well. So, but yeah, flick through. I want to be interactive, and I want to sort of help you guys walk through, you know, some of your goals. And I want to be interactive with you. So we'll be going to that. Talk about a little mini map session with me. What are my goals and what are my plans to achieve them? some of Beau's goals, what his plans are to achieve them. As a business, some of our goals as a business from a community perspective, some past deals, new deals, got some questions to answer, and go from there. So looking at why we should set goals. I see so many people in life that just go through life and they just see what comes, and a lot of people complain about having a shit life and why things aren't working out, and quite often it's the habits that they form that get them there. So I always talk about are your habits in line with the person that you want to become. I see Beau, he's got a water bottle there. It's a big. Can you hold the water bottle up, Beau? This guy drinks like, how many liters of water do you drink a day?
Probably 5 or 6 at a minimum.
He's constantly drinking. I reckon like you drink one of those big blue water dispensers per day. This guy's the healthiest guy ever, and looking at where what actions you take and where you want to be. Always joke, like I was looking here before, and I've got some of my goals from way back in the day I'm going to share with you. And I was looking here, I wrote down what I wanted to find in a female in life. And I always joke to people and say, you're not going to find the person that you want to be with at 3 o'clock in the back corner of the club when the lights turn on, right? Your habits, like people go, I can't find them at the club, I'm trying to find chicks, whatever. You're not going to find your wife and the mother of your children in the back corner of the club. You're not going to, I just love it. Like you need to take the right habits to be living the life of where you want to be. So whether it be on a spiritual journey, whether it be on a business journey, whether it be on a property journey, whether it be on a family basis journey, all these things, you need to make sure that you're doing the right things. Goals, a lot of people are just dreamers. I'm going to do this, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to do the next thing, but they're not actually doing what it takes to be successful. And Beau's been fortunate enough over the years, he's seen some of the lows and the highs of Nathan Birch. Like the commitment and the hustle. Like sometimes me and Beau hang out, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm still on the phone to people, he's doing emails, I'm doing emails, and most people just go, I'm going to go hop on a boat and party, and that's what life should be about. And you only get the right result if you put the action in as well. So having clarity is just like a business plan, and goals should end up becoming like a to-do list, in my opinion, so you can sort of have a plan to get there. Any feedback from you, Beau, at this point?
I can hear you. You're glitching there a little bit. So, mate, yeah, I totally agree. Setting goals is fundamentally important. If you don't have direction, goals just give you focus. They give you direction, and it could be small goals, it could be large scale goals. But if you have bigger projects, bigger goals, and you have sub tasks or sub goals in order to go about achieving them. So it's really important to put that structure in place for your life. As Nathan said, you should be running your life like a business, managing it really well. And if you're not, you're effectively stealing your own time in inefficiency. Everyone's got 24 hours in the day. Nathan's got the same amount of time as myself or you, and you should see how hard he works and what his goals are. He operates at a different level, and everyone's got their own goals. And some people have never been taught how to set goals and have the right mentors and guides around them to support them on that journey. So it's great that you're putting this together, Nathan, to empower more of the B.Invested community to set goals. And again, you might not always achieve them, but you've got to check in regularly. Most people set goals in end of financial year, or it could be New Year's Eve. Oh, I want to have a better year next year. I want to do things when they're drunk. They're not in the right state of mind. They don't write them down, and they wanna, coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? So once they're gonna, I'm gonna get around to doing this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stop drinking. I'm gonna stop smoking. Whatever it may be. And within a few weeks they're back doing the same habit. So it's coming to goals. Yes, you've got to think about it, have that headspace, but then you've got to put some pen to paper, actually write them down, and review them regularly. I've seen with many businesses and teams like, oh, we want to double. Great. So how specifically are we going to do that? What time frame are we going to do that in? And what necessary actions do we need to take in order to know we're on the right track to achieve that? how often are we going to review it and make sure that we're actually going to hit that goal at that certain time, or we could exceed it earlier depending upon the actions that we take. So the kind of goal format that B.Invested works with their clients, obviously it's SMART goals. So if Nathan flicks to the kind of next slide, it should come up with what they actually mean. So SMART, S is for specific. You need to set a goal that's specific and realistic enough for you to achieve it. You might want to set big goals. You might hear Grant Cardone, 10x. That's great, but you've got to be realistic on what actions you're going to take in order to achieve that. If you're not getting anywhere and you go, I want to do $1 million in income next year, and you're on 50 grand, that's a massive lift. You could possibly do it, but you're going to have to take some drastic action, and your behaviors and attitude and your whole direction is going to change in order to achieve that. So obviously S is specific, M is measurable. What is it? It has to be specific number, time, date, target. You've got to be specific on what criteria it is that you are going to achieve that goal by. A is action orientated. What specific steps are you going to take in order to make progress, create that momentum, that'll result in you achieving that goal. R is realistic. Should be something that's attainable given the situation and the resources you're in. Don't obviously place too much limitations on yourself, going, I'm in a bad or terrible situation. It's attitude, how you show up every day. Nathan has some tough days, but he always shows up. We all have some tough days, but it's how we choose to respond to the stress. People steer away from stress. Stress can be your best friend. When you're in the gym lifting weights, the stress upon your muscle is triggering your nervous and central nervous system to fire, going, hey, we need more muscle in order to cope with the stress that's being placed upon that muscle doing that exercise. So stress can be good. You've got to use it in the right way, but it's not going to limit you and put you into a hole. And timely, we've got to have a time stamp date that we are going to achieve the goal by. Because people are like, oh, Nathan, I might want to stop, years ago, I want to stop smoking. Didn't have a timeline, didn't have a date. And then you see him a few months later, he's like, oh, a bit stressed, I just need one. I'm like, okay, I'll give it to you. You're doing better than what you were, so you're making progress. And yet again, it's not giving up on the goal that you want to quit, but it's like, hey, I've learned. I fail forward. I'm always learning. What can I change? What can I do better next time? And then yet again, it's staying committed to that goal when the world's against you, when everything may not be going to plan. It's still having that, reviewing it often, and reevaluating, are we actually on the right track? And if when you achieve it, you got to reward yourself, and you got to acknowledge that success.
2020 was the first year that my goals, since I was maybe 20, so maybe 15 years worth of my goals, 2020 was the first year that my goals didn't have quit smoking on it. So I quit smoking 2 years ago from 2 packs of smokes a day. I still love smoking. I'll pick it up tomorrow and take on smoking again. But I know that my body loves me for it. I'm better and healthier for it. And yeah, like it's something that I've gone 2 years without smoking, and after you get past a week or a month or 2 years, 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, whatever, the more that you put in, the harder it is to let go. So if you go back, you're going to undo all of that sort of stuff. And I think the importance of us talking about this with the community today is more so, like, this is a time of the year where people will, generally they'll go to Christmas parties and get drunk and all that and party. Who am I going to buy Christmas presents for? People are planning more for their next holiday. People are planning more for who they're going to waste money on that's not going to like their gift and put in the cupboard or never use it, than what they are for actually planning for their own future. And I think that if you're going to get a couple of weeks off, you're going to work out where you want to be. It's a good time at this period, over the course of the next month, 2 months, to sort of reflect on the year that you've had, the goals that you may have had, or the dreams that you may have had without being identified, and sort of articulate and plan a strategy for the next year ahead. And that's what, like, most people think. Nathan, it's interesting, Beau, that you said, like, New Year's Eve. How many times have you, rocked up drunk on New Year's Eve? Beau doesn't even drink, so I've never even seen you drink in 10 years. He doesn't drink.
I'll tell you that story in
a minute. Hey?
I'll share that story in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I remember Beau's energy. I'm like, this guy's drunk or something. When I first met you, he's like full of energy, and I'm like, yeah, he's never had a drink. But you know, people will sit there at the end of the year and go, oh, you know, we're cool. We're going to watch the fireworks. We're going to have some drinks. You know, talk shit and say how great we are, and we're going to say we're going to do all this achievement next year, but generally after a week you've gone back to the person of what you were last year, and your habits need to change. So whether it's the end of the year, whether it's the start of the year, whether it's the middle of the year, the day that you make changes. And I think, you know, it's good for a reset, you know, for you to be able to go, cool, it's a new year, it's a new me. What's the next 12 months going to be? Who's the person that I want to be, and be able to plan for that. And you know, I think, you know, if you had a shit year, you got to re-question, reevaluate. Well, why was it a shit year? How could you have changed? Because change starts from within. And what can you do to make, you know, the next year better? And what actions and what habits were holding you back from being where you want to be? So, you know, not just look forward and go, this is how I'm going to get to where I want to be, but also working out, you know, the journey that's led you to where you are throughout this year and the previous years as well. Okay.
Yeah, so the story of me stopping drinking, it was I got completely railroaded after the Australian Tennis Open. I used to work in the corporate hospitality down there in Melbourne, and then we had this mad Monday after working 208 hours within 2 weeks. We had this big party with all 1,000 staff. Got completely written off. Couldn't remember the night. I'm like, this isn't cool, and I decided to make a change. I'm like, I'm just going to stop. As soon as I said I'm going to stop, everyone was showering me with free drinks. It's the universe testing me. Am I really committed to my goal, right? And so I'm like, no, I'm all good. After the first kind of couple of weeks, like, oh, he's pretty committed. And then like, hey, you don't drink? Do you want some drugs? I'm like, no, I don't do drugs. And everyone just started offering, being generous, because people want to connect through shared experiences. They might be sharing a glass of wine, a beer, taking all different types of drugs together. They want to share an experience, and they felt that I was the odd one out when I said, hey, I'm not drinking. So I'm like, I need to find a bigger reason to share why I'm not. So I said, hey, I'm not drinking, I don't feel well, or hey, I've got some competition I'm working towards, or hey, I'm going to, I made myself the designated driver. So everyone's like, great, you can be our taxi bitch, and and you can get us all home safely, and they can have a great night, and I can remember it and remind them of all the good times. So after the first month, I said week by week, I'm gonna make a change, 1 week at a time. Then became a month. I go, great, I'm gonna go for 2 months, 3 months, and 3 months went to 6, 6 went to 12, and then once I built that habit, I didn't turn back. And then at the same time, I'm questioning, going, with it could be drinking, going out for dinners, etc. I'm like, with alcohol, it's in the moment. You drink it, you piss it up against the wall, you lose a day. If you're hungover the next day, you're losing time, and the time's our most valuable asset. So I'm like, you know what? If I can stop drinking, and I didn't work in a job, I worked in a bar at the time. I'm like, in hospitality, I'm like, why would I work in a job, piss it up against the wall, and have nothing to show for it the next week? So I learned my lesson after a couple of months. That's not the way to go about it. I'm like, if I can save every penny and then reinvest into other education, then I'm going to upskill and up level and grow a lot quicker. And since then, the deposits I've put into properties have been due to making those small sacrifices over a long period of time. And I worked out with some mates, they were spending 15 to 20 grand on drinks and dinners out per annum. And now I go, great, if I don't drink, there's 12 to 15 grand per year, and that's gone into help buy put 6 deposits down on different properties. So small actions over a long course of time can really compound out to be really, really powerful for you.
Yeah, when I quit smoking, I used to watch a video every time I wanted to smoke. I'd go and watch a video as to sort of the benefits that my body were having, and then I started going, well, I'm not going to put anything bad in my body. So I eventually, like very quickly, stopped drinking, because you want to have a drink, you want to have a smoke, all that sort of stuff, and it becomes a habit. And the best thing is if you create these good habits and remove the old habits. That's really important. I noticed that someone here wrote a question saying, can't see where it is. It was in the questions there somewhere. But yeah, I find like if someone's got bad people around them, they're going to be either brought up by them or brought back down, which is what you just touched on there. So
I can't
Yeah.
see any questions or comments or chat, so I can't help you, search through any answers. Just to give you the FYI there.
Well, someone here gave you a compliment and said Beau should be playing a footy.
Yeah, I've got the size for it. My mum said you can play the long game or the short game. You want to play footy, that's great, but you'll have a 7 to 8 year cycle if you're great. You look at the pros, they earn 10, 15 times the average person for a 4 or 5 year window. Yet again, that's their career lifespan in that sport. If you're lucky to be a legend, you might do 8, 10 years, 15 years if you're great. But most people, they play large, they get in, they get a great job, they get a great income, and they get an injury that puts them out after 2 years, and they built their whole career around being a rugby or AFL player or whoever it may be, and they don't have a backup plan. And then the ones who do well, they earn well, and they piss it up against the wall, and they don't realize, shit, I'm earning 13 to 15 times, 20 times the average person per year for a 6-year window, which I should be investing to set myself up for the rest of my life. And that's when you see them broke.
We actually have a few sports stars, and I don't follow sport, but I remember people going, "That's an All Blacks player. That's that's an actor. That's someone on TV." So we've helped people in all different areas of life as well. So I guess getting on to like the topic of and honing in on goals and whatnot, like how to and how not to set a goal and why. A lot of people, like going back to the last slide here, which was the specific, measurable, action, realistic and timely, those parameters. People will sit there and say, "I'm going to lose weight this year," and it's like, okay, cool, you're going to lose weight. How much are you going to lose, right? And identifying, you want to be as specific as possible, because then you can, without being too analytical, and having a framework to work around. A lot of people will just say, I'm going to earn more money, right, in 2021. Well, how much money are you going to earn in 2021? I'm going to go on more holidays. Well, how many holidays are you going to go on? Where are those holidays going to be to? How are you going to pay for those holidays? And then once you can really have clarity on your goals and what you're trying to achieve, then you can sort of work backwards and work out more of how to build a to-do list on how to get there. Beau, maybe if you want to share a little bit more about on this topic about how to and how not to set goals with some.
Yeah, so like the easiest way how not to set a goal that is effective is you think about it, you don't write it down. It's vague, it's not specific, there's no time deadline on it for you to work towards. And you don't hold yourself accountable by sharing it with your partner, your wife, your kids if need be, your friends, your mentors, people that you look up to who you want, hey. And the best way to keep yourself accountable is go on that journey with someone else. So people do boot camps together for training. People go on certain runs and jogs and bike rides and stuff together to share that experience. So, for myself, a few years ago when we did the kind of team bonding session, we found out a lot of the team members wanted to go to the snow. I'm like, I didn't realize half the other guys in the team wanted to do that. So I'm like, great, let's pick a date and do it. And yet again, some people talk versus action. So we said, hey, we're going to go on this date. It's in 8 weeks' time. This is what it's going to cost. The more people we can get in, we can get a better place and have a better experience. And some people fell off because, hey, they didn't want to pay the price to play the game. Where others like, hey, I'm committed. It was on my goals. I want to make it happen. I'm going to put away a bit more money to make sure that trip happens, and they go about doing so. So like most people, as Nathan said, they'll plan a really great holiday, but they'll never plan for their financial future and their portfolio and their investments. They don't put any time into it, and they put time into things that are a distraction. So like one of my goals would be with a bunch of friends, and I said go to the snow. So the first year there was 3 of us. The next year we went back, there was 12 of us. The following year we went back, there was 24 of us. Then like the logistics is getting hard to go, well, how do we find a place, a lodge who can house all 24? And we end up getting 2 or 3 houses. But then I had to put down a deposit on my credit card, which was 10 grand, 5 grand a house for 4 nights over the snow period. I'm like, shit, there's so much risk. Then great, I need to reduce my risk. I need to collect the money in order to make sure people are committed, because if people don't put the money down and show their commitment, they're flaky, they fall off. And if they're not financially invested, it's like with anything, they just don't appreciate it. So, like another goal I got to go to in Queensland, it's a shared experience. I'm big on shared experiences because it creates memories. Is to sail the Whitsundays. My friend Mitch did it, and he offered me 5 years ago to go on a trip. He's like, "Hey, just come with me. I've got the boat covered." I'm like, "This is amazing." I couldn't get the time off work, and it's like, I am not going to work for someone else that dictates when I can and can have time off to create memories with really close friends. And so I was pretty pissed I missed that trip. I'm like, I'm going to have to back it up and do it sometime for myself. But I'm like, great, that's the goal. I'm going to inquire about what an actual yacht costs to hire. Do we want one? Do we want two? How many people are going to come? What's the cost? It's like 16 grand for the week. There's 5 days, 7 days, aircon, non-aircon, and all the other stuff. I'm like, great, how many people can we fit on the boat? 8, 10, can we squeeze any more? No, it's not going to be comfortable. Great, I know what comfortable trip's going to be. Now I know I need to divide that up per head in order to make that happen. Now I need to go sell the experience to 8 other people, or if I'm getting 2 boats, 16, 20 other people, I'm now going to sell the dream, my dream. I want to go, but I don't want to flip the whole bill. How can I bring other people involved on this journey to achieve a unique experience for themselves, which they probably wouldn't want to do. They probably don't want to organise it, and but they'd love to come along the ride. And everyone loves someone else to do the work, but we need to get them financially committed to the process as well. So in regard to
we should set a goal, Beau, that next year we go do that. We bring some of our VIP clients to come along, and we're going to have a party for a week in the Whitsundays.
Yeah, we could do it for 5 days. Yeah, totally. We could definitely do that. It wouldn't be hard. It's just getting people committed, and if they're achieving their goals, and we want to go, great. Let's spend 4 days, 5 days with Nathan and a great bunch of other investors. Let's plan that, and people are interested. Make a comment, let Nathan know, and we can add you to a list and keep you in the loop with what's coming up.
That was really random and spontaneous.
Yeah.
What I found as well, like with voicing, I've seen a couple of people here just putting some of their goals down and sharing that with us on the comments box here. Being able to voice those goals, once you share and put it out there to the universe, I've always found when I'm going to do something, I love sharing it and telling people about my goal, being specific with it. I've had heaps of people tell me over the years, I'm an idiot, I'm off my fucking head, whatever the case may be, and then I just take the actions in order to do it. Because if I don't do it, I've got it. Once I've voiced it, once I've worked out how to get there. And Beau, you remember the other week on the whiteboard, I was drawing a few things about our potential office in the future and all that sort of stuff. I make that loud, and then I have to achieve it. If I don't achieve it, I look like a dick, and I'm failing on myself, and I feel like a failure. So being able to have clarity around it and share that is really, really important. So yeah.
Well, Nathan, I remember when we chatted back, it would have been in January, February, on your goal. Hey, here's different pods of people that we could help and empower, and how many kind of reviews and stuff you want to do this year, and how many kind of people we want to support. That was on the board for a while. I'm like, hey, let's go. Great. Number one, how are we tracking with it? Great, we're making some progress. Let's review it each week. Number two, hey, we've made little progress. We need to make that more of a priority. And literally, I walked in the other week. I'm like, nailed. We nailed all those 6, pretty lofty, ambitious goals that we wanted to achieve. But we put, yet again, you can't do it all yourself. Business, life, goals, family, it's a team sport. So the more other people you can get invested in an outcome, people want to help others. So if you've got a goal like, hey, I want to run a marathon, do you want to come train with me? Or I want to do this experience, can you help me? Can you train with me? Can you support me? Can you donate to it? Just ask. Most people are too fearful to share what their kind of goals are, and they need other people's support to get there. If they do, more people are going to invest, which means now you're more committed to the process. Other people have backed you. Like I've done 5 or 6 bike rides in Thailand. It's 40 to 55 degrees heat during peak sun during the day, kind of midday, and it's shit. It's tough. But we do training, and it's 500 Ks, 5 days in a sauna over in Thailand. And over the last kind of 4 years, we've raised over $2 million for that. I'll personally kind of raise 65 grand. But as a group, we can make such an impact. And with goals, which we'll get into further, is contribution. When I started thinking about how I can help others and just looking out for my own best interests, I started to earn more. I started to attract better opportunities. And as Nathan said, as soon as you kind of set the intention, I want to achieve this goal. Like you might go, we might be driving, and I'm like, hey, we need to park out the front of this venue. We've got no time to waste. Set the intention, 3 minutes out, we get there, and a car literally pulls out from the VIP park. The other week, we're going to the beach, and Emma, my wife, she's like, oh, the car park looks busy. I'm like, turn in, let's go in, let's take a look. And the VIP park literally came available as we drove down there. It's all, yet again, it starts so small as this, but once you go, shit, I'm a creator of my reality based upon the intention, and yet again, it's the energy and enthusiasm you throw behind it. People go, shit, this person has conviction. They've got wow factor. They've got something I want, and then you're like a magnet of opportunity that will attract people to want to support you on your journey with whatever goal you are working towards. And even with investing, I had a deal. Nathan's like, hey, this is a really good deal for you. I'm like, shit, I've just bought 2 properties. Where am I going to get the next deposit from? I'm like, mum's got 300K plus in the bank account, earning jack shit interest from the bank. I said, Mum, I'll give you 6%, give me 50 grand. I'm going to go get another deal. Got the deal done, and within a year, property had increased. I paid her back, and now I've got that. Mum's like, well, do you want the money again? Because I'm getting better interest with you than the bank. I'm like, great, give me the money back, and I'll go again. So it's getting creative. There's abundance of resources. There's over $6 trillion in foreign exchange that transacts every day around the world. People are like, oh, I'm not earning enough. We've got to play a bigger game. We've got to think differently. We've got to chase, the markets that do have the money. If money is a factor, money is a factor that we play in this current realm. If it turns to hugs and kisses, then we'll become valuable at that. If it's Bitcoin, well, then we'll jump into that, that scene if that's going to be of value. Back in the day, it was tulips, wasn't it, Nath? Back in the day, that was a value.
Tulip mania. There's all different things, seashells, and all different trades of currency. But
yeah,
with it, I'm just going to go on to the next slide because I want to make things a little bit interactive. And I don't know if everyone's got the form, which is this form, which I want to run through with everyone. So if you guys, I've got a few things that I want to talk about before we go into the form. If you guys have a pen and some paper where you are, it would be great. And we can run through a few things and build a bit of clarity and talk a few examples and run through this together. So basically, what we want to look at is sort of where are you going? What do you want out of life? How do you want to get there? How will you get there? What is holding you back? And yeah, running through some examples on this front. So there is this form. If you don't have it, I can see there's someone here saying that they don't have the form. If you don't have the form, reach out to my office. They'll send you the form and write it down. There's so many different areas of our lives that that we need to look at. I talk about investing. I talk about property. I talk about finance. I talk a lot about controversial things which are out there. And I think it's important that we hone in on it. I'm actually going to go down to the next form, which is probably the bigger picture. And this here, I like to think about 10-year goals, right? Like 10-year goals going, who is the person that I want to become? Because every 3 months, I become a different person. I talk different, walk different, act different, carry myself different because I'm walking towards the person that I want to become. And moving through different markets which are close to my goals. So I set a big list of goals. I've actually got sheets and sheets of stuff here which have not been edited since 2008. So some of these goals I've actually printed off this here, which is from my computer, which is my life plans. You can see here, I'll just have a look on this so I can make sure I'm showing you. So created and modified last was 9th of November 2008, 12:48 a.m. So that's about 13 years ago, 12 years ago that I put some of these goals together. And I think looking at the person that you want to be in the future, I will share with you guys some of the things a little bit later. But what do you want? I run through this with my staff as well, and it's something that for me to have a good community inside of the business and a good community outside of the business, I need to make sure that all the people that are around me are achieving their goals and dreams as well. So, why do people come to my organization? I've got like 100 staff nationally across different brands and different parts of the business. Why does someone want to come to us? And, instead of working for someone else, I think that if we have the best people that are achieving their goals in life, then they're going to be, energetic. They're going to be happy. If I have miserable people in the business, no one wants a miserable person in the business. So, we want to make sure that we've got, if our community is strong, they're achieving their goals, we're all going to be doing the things we want to do. So, what are some of the things you want to do? And on a 10-year plan, I like to think about, do you want to have a family, right? So 10 years ago, I was thinking, I want to have 3 kids, I want to have a wife, I want to have all these different types of things. I want to be living in a certain house. I want, some of my goals were like, I want to have a 5-acre property in the hills of Sydney, right? I bought my first one going back 7 years ago. And now I've got about 200,000 square meters. I've got about 10 of them in the area. So, these things, like looking at the big picture and working it down. So what are your dreams? What are your goals? So I believe a goal is a breakdown from a dream. So if you've got a 10-year goal, dream, I want to live in a certain house, I want to be doing a certain job, I want to be spending my time doing certain things, write that down. Understand where it is that you're traveling to, and then sort of work backwards from there. So this here is just a form that I use, my life in 2031. You can put whatever date you want in there, but it's like a 10-year goal. What do I want? Do you want a relationship? Do you want to be more spiritual? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be traveling? Do you want to be whatever? Then when you can break that down and go, okay, I want to be traveling for the next 5 years, what sort of income do I need to be traveling? Do I need $500,000, $100,000 a year for 5 years? Do I need 250 grand, 50 grand for 5 years? How much will it cost? So then you can work backwards. You've got a place and a point in time of where you need to be. The importance, how strong is it that it's important to you? And you can put on this one, on this goal itself, you can be as sort of wild with your dreams as possible, but just be mindful of, like, if you say, I want to have 10 Lamborghinis in my garage, right? I want to have 50 houses with mansions on top of them. I want to have 3 wives in each house, right? I don't even have 1 wife, but imagine having 3, right? I don't know, right? They'd be fighting with each other, whatever. So, working out, are you willing to do what it takes to be that person, to have that outcome and that lifestyle? So, if you want 10 Lamborghinis, how much are they going to cost? Right? At $500,000 a piece, that's $5 million. Is it worthy for you to have $5 million worth of cars, or is it better to have $5 million worth of property? People put so much weight on things that are, controversial or trivial things in their life, which have no value. Most people are worried about who's going to win the cricket, who's going to win the fucking football, who's going to, win My Kitchen Rules, who's going to win the election. Most people are thinking, what am I going to do for my holidays? Most people are thinking about who's going to jam the turkey stuffed on Christmas Day, right? And most people are thinking how they're going to spend their money. The shops are open on Thursday nights for late night shopping to take your money, right? You get paid on Thursday, most people do, and then out of that pay, they go spend that money. So the thing is, what are you planning for? When was the last time you sat there and looked at your position and go, okay, what can, I do in my life? So I think this is a good sort of overall to look at a 10-year plan and a 10-year goal of who you want to be and where you want to be. And then once you have that defined, you can sort of break down as to 2021. How am I going to work towards that? What aspects of my life do I want to improve on? Are you a positive person? Are you negative? Are you healthy? Are you unhealthy? I realized, if I want 10 children one day, am I going to be alive to see them if I keep smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day? Am I going to be, I didn't become successful getting bottle service at the back of a club, right? So if you're partying every weekend, people say to me, I had someone today say, I love your renos that you do, Nathan. And I try not to do renos. I made a goal last year that I was going to work every single day of 2019. The reason being is I'd failed on some of the aspects of my life. I needed to punish myself and commit to it and do what it has to do to get to where I want to be. So I had no days off last year, literally no days off. I did like 2 full-time jobs. There was days where I was like, I'm in this office, I moved office, and I had no choice, right? I was moving office, I had no time. I had to paint, I stripped out of the walls, and all these things that were going against me. I remember I fell over. I got the keys on a Friday night at 6 o'clock. I couldn't document. I didn't have time. I didn't have the energy, and I should have filmed it. Should have done stuff. But I remember falling over, and there was a bucket of paint, and basically the bucket of paint fell, and I was laying on the floor. I was like, "Fuck this!" And the office is like, I've painted a lot of properties, but I had to do everything to make it happen. Most people will get the shits and go, I'm not going to do that. And everyone wants to be successful until it takes, the commitment to be successful. This year, I made a goal never to touch any tools. I don't want to touch tools this year. I've probably worked 4 days this year on properties and having to do stuff. Why I did that is because I needed to push things along. I had a brand new build. The tradie was letting me down. I didn't want to have to go and paint the fucker, but I needed the kitchen to be installed. The tiler was coming the next day. I can't paint after the tiles have gone down, so I wanted to paint beforehand. It took a half an hour to paint each coat using a spray gun. I went out there, took a few videos, showed everyone what I had to do. There's a few little times where I had to go get tiles and drop things off and be their lackey, but I needed to push things along. I haven't frozen. Someone asked, have I frozen in here? Maybe it's the internet connection. I think everyone can see pretty well. Yeah, so looking at, what are the goals for this year? Who do you want to be? Who is the person you're going to achieve? We all know people that are, look 10 years older than what they are. We know that, there's people that, partying isn't sustainable for people. You want to have a nice family, you've got to focus on that. You want to have nice wealth, you've got to focus on, what steps you need to take. Your education, you want a better job, you want a better life, you want better knowledge. So some of the things you could put down in these things, right, is, whether you want to be spiritual, go and, commit to your religion for X amount of, time in the year, or time in the day or time in the week. If you want to meditate, if you want to, spend time reflecting on yourself, you want to focus on, exercise. How many times are you going to, people can say how not to treat your goals. You can write, I want to get fit. Right? Getting fit, of course you want to get fit. That's why you want to be healthy. Everyone wants to be fit. But what actions are you going to take? So I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. I'm going to walk, run every day. I'm going to do 15,000 steps in a day. 3 days a week. How much cost? It costs you nothing to go for a walk. Put a podcast in. How much education are you going to get? There's all of you guys that are watching this webinar, whether it's live today or on a record later on. How much self-education you're doing. When I was a child growing up, I couldn't read. I still don't read. But there was Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, Channel 2, Channel SBS. That's all brainwashing shit. Nowadays you got SBS. Nowadays you got Netflix, and you got all this other shit that can take you off course. But what is your education coming from? How are you getting closer? If you weren't working, what would you be doing with your time? Would you be saving koalas in the fucking bush? Would you be, taking care of elderly? Would you be spending time with your family? Would you be partying? Would you be traveling? Everybody's got different goals. I started this business, B.Invested. I had a business partner back in the day. His name's Daniel. I chat to him on a sort of regular basis every few days. This guy loves traveling, right? He's got like 74 properties in his portfolio. He travels around the world. Last year in 2019, I spent not having 1 day off. I didn't have 1 day off. Daniel had a goal of spending less than 30 days in his bed last year, and that was his goals. Everybody's goals are different. Beau's got a young daughter. He wants to spend time with his family. We've all got different perspectives. So, if you weren't working, what would you be doing? Most people die and they're just stuck in a job. They're brainwashed to be a tax slave. They're indoctrinated in the system. They're stuck being a consumeristic slave, trying to chase that next brand that gives them a 2-day buzz until they realise that their car's got a scratch on it, or the handbag doesn't look nice with them anymore, or whatever the case may be. So, who is it that you want to become, and what steps can you take, and what sort of value? So, if buying a Louis Vuitton handbag or Louis Vuitton belt is really important and up there, well then do it. But what satisfaction if you could put not having to go to work in 5 years' time because you replaced your income from wealth, then that's a cool thing. Where I like to focus and help everyone out is purely on the financial and sometimes on the education and the mindset side of things. But lifestyle, I put in there with my family. Like I want to spend a day a month with my nephews and nieces. I've got a dozen nieces and nephews. I've got 6 great nieces and nephews. And I try and spend time in my busy schedule to take them out and hang out with them and all that sort of stuff. But if I don't reflect on that or I don't have that down, well then maybe the year will pass and I may not spend that much time. So it's balancing all these things. Like you could just be working your whole life and never be having fulfillment. You could be traveling and partying, but you're always going to be broke. So I think it's important to focus and break that down and work out what actions. In the property perspective, I'm going to run through my goals. Beau's going to run through some of his goals a little bit later, but I'm going to run through my goals for 2020 with you guys. I'm going to run through my 10-year goals from when I first started looking at this. Looking at how many properties people say, I'm going to buy a property this year, or I want to buy a property, or I want to be an investor. Wanting to be an investor and putting it in here is not right. How many properties are you going to buy in 2021? I literally break it down as to what type of properties and how much those properties will cost me. Because then once I've got a point of going, okay, I'm going to buy one property for $250,000, I need to work back and go, okay, to buy a property for $250,000, it will cost me $50,000 deposit. So I need to save up. The cost will be $250,000, but I need $50,000 deposit. I can break that down and go, that's $1,000 per week. Where am I going to get that money from? That becomes now a to-do list. How am I going to budget? How am I going to save? There's actually another form to this, which is budgeting. Who here has a budget? Who here knows where the money's coming in from and where it's going out to? What value and weight do you put on those expenses on a day-to-day budget? Can you trim some of those budgets? Can you trim some of the fat? Can you increase that cash flow? If you are a property investor that's watching this, when was the last time you reviewed your property portfolio? When was the last time you reviewed your finance position? When was the last time you reviewed how much you're paying on a interest rate? When was the last time you reviewed what your rent is? You need to treat this like a business. You need to treat your household like a business. A lot of families and relationships break down because they have divorce, money problems, whatever the case may be. If you have clarity, then you remove these sorts of things. You can go, okay, well, our budget's a little bit out. A plus 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? You have clarity. So writing down the goals, maybe even having some of your main goals. Like on my phone, the home screen of my phone, wow, I've got so many messages that have come in since we've been talking. I've got goals here on my phone as to what I want to do in my business. On my home screen, I have goals as to what I want to do with some of my properties and acquisition of my property. So they're a continual reminder. I go back to my goals on a monthly or weekly. I haven't been so committed on looking at them on a weekly basis recently, but I know that I've got so much conviction and so much clarity on my goals. I've already planned it out at the start of the year. It's action time. So when 1st of January comes, 2nd of January, you're going to see me making videos. You're going to see me doing content. You're going to see me sharing with you guys the things that I've been up to. So I take action immediately to work towards the person that I want to become in that year. It's fortunate that the year 2020, I shared with you guys in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, all the bad things that were coming. I talked about the market being shit. I talked about the economy getting screwed. I talked about a depression of biblical proportions. And fortunately, 2020, we're on track and here we are, but the opportunity is here. So that's why I think, the next 12 months are going to be so much fun with options and opportunity there to take advantage of. So these things here, I'm going to come back to, share with you guys some of my goals. I just seen someone here. I had a goal to save $1,000 before Christmas. I saved $2,000. Right? Doesn't matter how big, how small, these goals are. Put them in there. Like this here is just condensed to fit on the screen. You don't need to have just 3 goals. You can have 50 goals here that you're working towards on the year, but break it down. Make it a to-do list. Understand if you want to have a property, what do you need to do? If you want to be, I'm a fat bastard, well, I'm pretty all right, but I know I used to be more ripped, and people used to ask me, Nathan, are you on the gear? Right? And I used to be like, what do you mean am I on the gear? You're taking steroids. I used to go to the gym 8 times a week. I used to be really ripped. But now I've been so busy focused on different things the last 12, 24 months, I've put on a bit, and I've got to get back to the habits to make myself back to where I was. I had to do few certain things. I went off and did that. Now I can go back and take more time and energy for myself. So looking at, what actions that I can do. Tomorrow night, Ridwan Hannon, our in-house resident accountant, we were talking the other day, and he goes, I was on the phone to him, and I do laps around the lake outside the office, and he's like, mate, I admire your commitment. I'm a fat bastard too. Need to go to the gym with you. And tomorrow night I'm going to the gym with Ridwan. So getting other people involved, like Beau was saying beforehand, and being able to tick off those goals by having healthy habits and healthy actions to get yourself to where you want to be, whether it be on a financial, a spiritual, a family, a work or career path, education and knowledge, right? I remember sitting down with one of my staff with their goals, not last year, the year before, and I was like, what is tube time? What is tube time? And my staff member said to me, my children sit in front of their TV too much, so we're going to have family time where we play games, not sitting in front of the TV. So how much time are you watching the TV? How much time are you wasting playing the newest PS5? I saw my Facebook page the other day. People are like, oh, I've got a PS5. And people going, oh, I love this. I wish I had a PS5. And it's like, who gives a shit about a PS5? You're putting the weight of that game or that PS5. I'm playing a game. It's called life, right? I'm trying to achieve the things that, I want to achieve. Are you spending your time and energy, playing some game, which if you pull it out of the PowerPoint, it's going to be deleted? How much value are you putting that in? I'm not saying don't go and enjoy your life, but would you have more fun walking the Whitsundays, like Beau was saying, you take a boat out, everybody's position is different. Would you have more fun spending 2 hours walking around the Whitsundays, and seeing the white sand under your feet, going outdoors, going to the beach, earthing by putting your feet on the soil without any shoes on? It's easy for me. I can just slide off my thongs and walk on the dirt. But what's the value? How much content are you consuming which is shit for you? People go, imagine eating Maccas every day and being fat fuck and, being unhealthy and all that sort of stuff. How much shit are you feeding yourself on a day-to-day basis? It's killing you, killing your mind, killing your soul, killing your spirit, or how much time could you be finding yourself and being a better person? I'm not trying to be all fucking, namaste and, all the chakras and everything like that. I'm just sharing, what are you consuming yourself with? And Beau, sorry, I've been on a bit of a rant. Do you have anything to add to that, Beau?
No, mate, I love it. I love the passion, and you can talk for hours. And when it comes to goals, it's good, as Nathan said, setting 10-year goals and then reflecting and breaking down, going, great, what's that look like in 5 years? Break it down to 1, then going, great, what does that look like in 1 year? Then let's look at every 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, weekly, and what's the daily habits you need to take in order to build the muscle in order to achieve that goal over a period of time. So when it comes to health, wellness, spiritual, it could be getting up earlier. Everyone's got the time. I find the most productive time is between 3:30 and 5 a.m. No one's awake. Everyone's asleep. So if you want to get stuff done, go to bed earlier, wake up when everyone's asleep, and do what you need to do. If you need to work on your own plan, do some meditation, read a book, audio podcast, whatever it may be. If you need to upskill, if you're in the car, instead of listening to music, which is another distraction wrapped with advertising, then listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook. Everyone's got the time. It's how do we most effectively extract as much value from every minute or every hour that we've got. Yes, you need your downtime. You need to have your play as well. But there's so much time that people are wasting doing, behaviors and activities that are not serving them when they could be, working harder. So in regards to education, you might want to do a course. You might want to do the mentoring program with Nathan. He's got a wealth of knowledge there. It could be, hey, I want to read a book a month on Audible. Well, there's a subscription there. You get a book a month for $14.95. What's the cost? That's it. It's like $180 a year. but you can learn from every book I tend to read. And Nathan doesn't like to read books, but he consumes vast amounts of content in other formats. I look at every book I read as 20 years of someone else's life that I can learn through their life experience to save me time. They've gone through the mistakes. They've learned some great distinctions. Well, every book I read, I can effectively save myself 20 years of mistakes. And the more books you read, you'll see common success habits and underlining, universal truths that's consistent in order to achieve a result. So education could be a course, could be a retreat, could be, you want to learn how to be more spiritual, go do a meditation course or go on a spiritual retreat. That could be a reward for working hard or saving or achieving a goal. You've got to have that reward there to go, instead of blowing all your money on something stupid, reinvest in yourself to make yourself a better person. Regarding property, how many do you have right now? How many do you want in 12 months' time? Is it realistic? Some people this year have bought 6 or 7, 8 with B.Invested. And they're not on big incomes either. It's strategy. And that's why, Nathan is phenomenal. His team, Rose, and all that kind of stuff within Zing is super, super powerful there. Like I said to Rose 2 weeks ago, I'm like, Rose, I think I'm getting stitched on interest rates. It's not in my loan, it's not in my name, it's in my wife's name, but I'm paying for it. So I want to get a better rate. She's like, what's it on? She crunched a couple numbers. She's like, go back, say this to the bank in this way, and hold strong to it, and say this, and they should give you this ballpark, and ask for it. Go, hey, I want roughly this rate, or ask for more, and they'll come meet you in the middle. By doing so, we end up saving like $450 off a loan per month. It's crazy. So the course of the year, that's interest $6,000 in our pocket that we can then reinvest into another deposit for another property. Or, if the missus got her hands on it, she'd probably put it into a holiday. So yet again, got to have good financial discipline. When it comes to financial, you go.
So I was going to say, it's important that, if you are in a relationship with someone, that, you both are working on your goals and make it a family thing, because I see so many times that people aren't on the same page. Their spouse may be wanting to go on holiday and they may be wanting to buy more property, working out, the property will get them the holiday. Looking at the education, you said about the books beforehand, $14.95 per month to read the books and whatever. People are spending like $30 or whatever it is for Netflix. People are just brainwashing and killing their soul and killing their dreams, killing their passion, drinking a few drinks, watch some Netflix and chill, whatever. People have been in lockdown this year. People have been stuck in their houses, held under house arrest. If you were in Melbourne and you were stuck in your house, right, you didn't have the opportunity to go out party. You didn't have the opportunity to go out and waste your time. You had so much time. What did you do in 2020 to fix up your life? Did you reach your goals, right? If you came out of lockdown the same person you were beforehand and you're living in Melbourne or whatever, you wasted a lot of time. What did you use that time for? Education, how many books did you read this year? How many books are you going to read next year? For me, Beau loves reading. I don't like reading. I can't read, can't hold the attention span, but I do watch a lot of content, a lot of YouTube, a lot of decentralized networks and platforms which have uncensored information. So the content that you see today in YouTube has been heavily suppressed. But if you go to other areas like BitChute and DTube and other platforms, there's new ones there, Voice and Parler. You can get information that you can't find in mainstream. How many hours of content? I make sure that for me being committed, I started Birch more for myself than for anyone else. I'd always send these links to my mates. I'd send them to Beau, I'd send them to Ridward, I'd send my team that are close to me. I'd send them to all my mates. And, I was like, join up to this, I'm going to put it all in the one place. And then I realized that, I started inviting other people in where outside of that. I started it for $1 a day where people join up to Birch Feed. I've made it free this year for everybody. Never asked for credit cards. Don't want your money. Just go in there for free. If you're not on there, go to birchfeed.com. It's free. Don't be a tight ass. I have a commitment where now I have to research and I have to commit myself every day to find more content to keep the community, fed with information. So I'm always out there researching new things, and I want to share with you guys new things. If you want to go down rabbit holes, go down rabbit holes. It is very, left field, but it keeps me in check with making sure that I've got to do that. So I put little games in my life where I have to commit to other people. So then I am committed to now having to do that task to be able to reach my goal and they reach their goal. And yeah.
Now, going back through the list, mate, I really appreciate you going through that. In regards to like financial, work, career, lifestyle, relationship, family, contribution, work, career. The only way to earn more is to do more, bring more in, ask for opportunities. What can I do to add more value to the business? If I brought more customers in or other opportunities, what would that be worth to the business? And would you be willing to give me a cut of that? I love sales and business development and strategic partnerships and collaborating businesses together that share a similar customer audience. And, I just learned when I was young and I was earning like 30, 40, 50 grand a year. I walked into the office one day and the girl was like, oh, wow, I've just bought a property. I'm like, that's amazing. And 3 weeks later, we did this kind of daily huddle in the morning and we kind of go through what our wins were. And she's like, oh, I've just bought a property. I'm like, wait a minute, Pauline, you bought a property 3 weeks ago. Was that the same property? Did it fall over? She's like, no, I bought a second one. That asked me the question, the penny drops, like, what the hell do you do and how do you earn enough money within 3 weeks to get another deposit ready? And she was in strategic partnerships and collaborations and joint ventures from a marketing and business development point of view. I'm like, well, how hard is it? And she said, oh, you've got a great personality, you've got the right drive, right attitude, you'll be great at it. That's all I needed to hear. It took me a few years to get really good at it, but I just powered through. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to go to courses, events, I'm going to mentor, I'm going to do deals, and I'll fuck them up and I'll learn. Different landing pages, opt-in forms, tracking data. The world we live in is so data rich, and we made some big mistakes, very costly, millions of dollars worth of lost revenue because we didn't know what we're doing, but we're doing the right actions. And we're like, hey, we made a mistake. We learned from it. We went back and did it again, and we got the same result. We brought in millions of dollars worth of revenue doing the same campaign 3 months later with another joint venture partner. You got to look at what can you bring to the table. Every business wants to do more, make a bigger impact, build a better community, and you've all got value to bring to the table. And it's showing up, taking that initiative, not waiting for the opportunity to land in your lap. Go and create that within your work, or if you're running your own business, great. Who can we collaborate with? Well, how can I serve my clients better? How can I get my clients to refer more work to me? How do I get them involved and invested in my business to help them with their goals and their success? And when it comes to lifestyle, great. Nathan wanted to work every day last year. What is it for you? Do you want to have a holiday? Some friends of mine take a month off every quarter and they work their ass off for the other 8 weeks. And then they take a month off, but they still work, but they get to travel whilst working with their family. In regards to family and relationships, do you want to see your parents more? Is there, friends that you've fallen, have kind of drifted apart with that you're like, hey, I really want to reconnect and make that relationship strong again? If it's going to serve you, then do it. And this is the thing, like if you've got a full closet full of clothes, you're clouded. If you've got a messy environment, your environment is a representation of how you think. So you need to clear out the dead wood, throw out the clothes you don't wear to create space for the new opportunities, new clothes that you may want to bring, fresh. When you take off all the distractions and all the clutter, then you've got more clarity. You've got more, getting rid of friends that aren't serving you, people who are complainers, who bitch and moan and drop all their depressive shit on you. Get rid of them in a loving way. Just spend less time with them. Spend less time buying into their bullshit and focus on surrounding yourself with people who are actually going to uplift you and hold you accountable. I'm all about bringing the best out of people because I've seen how it's been supportive for myself, and I want to make sure every person in whatever environment that I'm in has the best time, has the best experience, knows they've got full support. I'm not a dictator. I'm like, how do I enable you to become the best? Because if you're becoming the best, you're empowered, you're on purpose, you're achieving your personal, professional goals, and you're going to add a lot more value to our clients, the business, and so forth overall. When it comes to contribution, what are you doing to give back? Is it your church? Is it certain causes that are important to you? You've got to help and serve others, and it could be through education. It could be giving stuff that you thought once was important. Getting rid of all your garbage could help empower someone else. You might run a garage sale or something to sell all your crap, which is then going to get money in, or you can give it away, going, great, I'm going to help that cause or that charity by doing so. Like Emma's dad, Jeff, in New Zealand, he gives heaps of shit away. Like, he's so generous. Yet again, he wins prizes all the time. He gets more back than what he gives, but he's just a very generous guy and likes to, shower, his wealth around with people and look after people. And like one of his friends' house burned down. And he, with one of the spare properties they had, they go, great, take all the furniture, and he helped a mate out. That person in time then helped him with a deal that made him millions of dollars. Like, it's karma. You've got to give. You've got to add. You've got to show up more. You've got to give more. And in doing so, you're going to create that magnetism around you, that energy that people are going to be attracted to, want to have you a part of your team, the opportunity, and wherever you're heading, they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That was a bit
And
of a rant.
just on the work and career one, this year, I think a lot of people, and like you're in business, Beau, and you help businesses out, this year, so many people have realized that they can't rely on one stream of income. Like people have worked hard, they get an extra $5,000 pay rise in their job, they're 7 o'clock in the morning, they're going to work, miss out on their family, send their kids off to daycare, whatever the case may be. And then they're sort of, coming back and getting back home at 7 o'clock at night. They're giving up their life, but they've realized that now they've got no income because they've lost their job or whatever the case may be. So looking at, lifestyle this year, what have you done, with improving income streams? Have you got multiple income streams? Have you bought property? Have you found other ways to produce income? Have you, built a business? Have you built an Amazon store? People ask me, should I set up an Amazon store? What do you think about me getting into that? I'm like, when you hang up the fucking phone from me, go and set up an Amazon store. You want to go set up a business, go get the website, the domain, and all that. And they're like, I've got to wait for it. And it's like, no, it costs you fucking $10 or $20, or it's free to set up a social media handle. Go set up the business. And then now the next problem you've got is to work out, how am I going to fill up my Amazon store? How am I going to produce content? And you can work gradually towards that. From contribution, I remember you've seen me in good times and bad times, Beau, over the years, and probably at my lowest point, I'll talk about some of my lowest points out there. I remember, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, like, I felt like shit, and there was monetary issues that I had. I had financial issues. None of them were too big. I was just trying to settle $10 million worth of property, and it was a big problem, right? But in the moment, I felt like shit. Things going wrong and whatnot. And I was able to settle all the $10 million worth of property, but it didn't come easy. It was like clunky and bumpy and whatnot. And I remember sitting there and I just remember saying I was broke, and people saying, Nathan, you're not broke. With that mindset, you'll be bad and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, no, I'm broke. I'm not poor, right? There's a big difference between my mindset. Broke, I was just temporary screwed up. And the thing I realized, because I've done so many cool things over the years, I've always got the opportunity. I'll always have food in my belly. I'll always have a roof over my head. And it's from being able to give back and those things that you can do, right? Like, I actually put in my goals how much content I'm going to produce. I'll put in there, the things that you can do. So it doesn't matter what area, like, break it back down and have clarity on it. This is just a shout out for someone that said that they couldn't hop onto the webinar tonight, but they'll watch it later. And they said, I remember the message, I'm going to call them on the way home. One of my investors got like 15, 16 properties to their portfolio. One of their biggest goals was to get a house on the waterfront. I said, let's build the portfolio, we'll get there. Now he's found a property which he can make happen, and he wants it. And it's a waterfront property in Sydney. And his wife said something like, we'll put it on hold, we're not going to do it. And the last text message, I saw a text message when I opened my phone a moment ago, and I'm not going to look at it because I'll get distracted. And I said to him, you need to be on the same page. And his wife said, I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit tight, right? And I'm actually going to use him as an example a little bit later on when I talk about one of my business goals for next year, with some of the things I want to do from different areas of the business goals. And I'll use him as an example. He restructured his debt this year and saved $50,000 a year on interest, right? 50 grand is someone's wage, right? All he had to do was restructure some debt. He still owns all the properties, got cheaper interest rates and all that sort of stuff. We've got some stories later on which I'll share where people have been able to build, 0 to 6 properties this year, and 8 properties and 10 properties even. I've got one person that just bought 10 properties in 2 months. 10 fucking properties within a month, 2 months, right? and you know, they all take different positions and all come from different backgrounds and all whatnot. But this guy's text message, I'm gonna, you know, if he's watching, I'm gonna have, you know, words on the way home to you, because he said, let's leave the portfolio as it is. If you left the portfolio as it is last year to the portfolio to where it is this year, you would be paying $50,000 more in interest, right? You need to continuously reassess your position and see what you can tweak and see what you can change, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in your family life, whether it be in your home life, whether it be in your property portfolio, whether it be in your financial position, whether it be from your education. This guy literally just restructured and rejigged a few things, saved himself 50 grand a year. When was the last time, and I'm asking this to everybody here, when was the last time you re-looked at your interest rates? When was the last time that you looked at, you know, is it in your goals to refinance my mortgages this year? Is it in your goals to pull out equity? People are sitting there going, I'm broke, I don't have any money, all that sort of shit. Go refinance your property. You've got equity at the cheapest fucking interest rates you've ever fucking seen at 2% or 2.5%, 3% at the bank. Sorry about that. I just noticed that. Please use plain language as others are listening. Apologies for my swearing. I get excited at times. Yeah, so I apologise about that. No bad intended. But you know, when was the last time that you reassessed your position? When was the last time that you yeah, looked at your position and go, what can I change? And every year you need to be doing it. Every quarter you need to be doing it, and improving upon and becoming the best and better version of yourself. So, you know, I think this is just a very good little template, and I'll share with you some of my goals very shortly. To a 10-year goal and an annual goal. I did notice here, I will answer some of your questions. Keep all the questions coming through to the comment box. Great content, guys. I find maintaining daily habits the most important thing. Do you have advice on how to stick to new habits? If you have clarity on where it is that you are heading to, it will be more easier to stay on track. And I will cover off on that in a little mini map session that I'll do now for like 10 minutes. I won't get too deep into it. So yeah, if your goal is big enough and you have enough conviction, you have enough commitment to it, you will find a way to stick to that habit. You know, if someone had a gun to someone's head and said the person will die if you don't do this, you would be committed. You'd be like, I want to protect and save my loved one. You might sit here and say, I can't do that, right? But if there was a dire situation, you would find a way to be able to make that happen. So yeah, like if it's strong enough, there's enough commitment and it means enough to you, you'll find a way to make it happen. The next question that I've got here to answer is be mindful of people that are cashed up at 50 years of age. Like me, we may not have many 10-year blocks left in our lives, but we're willing to buy as many investment properties. Thumbs up. So yeah, with everybody's position, you're all starting from a different starting points. You're at different end games. You've got different goals of what you're trying to achieve. You know, sort of working towards, you know, where is it we're trying to be? You know, if you're 50, right, you may feel like you got not many, you know, positions left. You're in a different position to someone 20. The 20-year-old can sit here and say, I'm too young, I don't have enough income, I don't have enough savings, I don't have enough assets, I can't do anything. Equally, at 50, you can sit there and say, well, I don't have much time left. If you're planning to live to 100, hopefully you're going to have a lot more time left there. Granted, you won't have, you know, you might be working till 60, you might be working till you're 65. You don't have time to fix up a disaster. So it's important to work out, you know, where you are, where it is that you're heading to. And I think that leads us really well into the next topic I wanted to talk about, which is having a mini map session with you guys. So I actually asked, there was an email that went out before this for you guys to send a document like sort of over so I could run through this, which is this form here. And I will explain this form in one moment. But none of you actually filled it out. So I can't help you on that front. I'm going to run through an example, one, but if you had have given me some information on yourselves and shared that and been committed, then maybe I could have helped out on that front. So just a little bit of housekeeping there for you guys. So looking at, you know, I always think about starting off with the end in mind. So here's the end in mind. Where are we going to be in 10 years' time? We want to be working towards something. We want to have clarity towards it, and we want to have many steps on how to get there. And that's what we can work on a daily, weekly, monthly, annually sort of target, reassess, and then make sure that we're on track for our bigger goals. So we want to work out where's the end in mind. So in here, there's just a map form that I have for our investors. If you've got it, fill it out, because it is really important when you have clarity on it. You know, you can work out how to get to where you want to be. So some of you are saying that you didn't get the forms. Send us an email a little bit later. I'll have an email up on the screen. The team will send you this. There's a budget form as well, which isn't in the slide deck tonight. Budget form, know where your income's coming in, where your expenses are going out, how you can improve your income, what actions you can take to improve your income. You know, can you build a second stream of income? Can you build a side business? Can you build a gig economy? Can you build a second sort of you know, income if you need help on you know, improving your business income? We've got, you know, Beau here, which can, you know, help out. I can give him a great glowing testimonial and reference because I love what he does, and I can see a lot of value that he adds into the B.Invested business as well. Looking at you know, where it is that you're at. So in this form here, I always write in here, when I see this form in front of me, it gives me a lot of happiness, because I can go, okay, very clearly I can draw exactly where someone's problems are and a solution of how they can get there. So I just always ask, what's someone's goals? Like, what's your 12-month goal? What's your 1 to 3 year goal? What's your 3-year, 5-year goal? You know, what is your super fund? People sit there and go, oh, you know, if you leave out super fund, I can't help you. If you leave out your date of birth, I can't help you, right? Am I talking to a 20-year-old, or am I talking to a 50-year-old today? You know, what's the position? So I see people that send over properties, and they've got a property that they purchased here for 800,000. It's worth 200,000. They've got a loan of 600,000. They're screwed up. They can't do anything. I see people that have got low cash flow. I can see that they've got too much debt. I can see that they've got not enough debt and too much asset, and be able to lead from, you know, where it is that we're trying to head to, and where they want to be. So I always think it's important to focus on the end. So I always ask this question, and it is, how do you get to Perth? Right? Some of you may have seen me. I've only ever said this once in public on a webinar, so I'm going to just keep it at that. If you weren't on that webinar, that's cool. If you have seen me say it, don't cheat. Maybe write in the question box how someone would get to Perth. Just if you want to share, we'll have some fun and interact, because it will be fun to see this. I've got here, take a plane. Anyone got any other suggestions how to get? Take a plane, then take a taxi. That's an interesting one. Anyone have got any other ways on how to get there? How would we get to Perth? How would someone get to Perth? Walk, you could walk. Drive and camp on the way, yeah. Nigel, you got that right. Luke, you might already live there, correct. So Luke and Nigel got it right. David, motorbike. Sonia, take a boat. Lucina, drive, cycle. How do you want to get to Perth? Take a boat, train. Do we set goals on cash flow specific or number of properties? That's good. Pan, I'll come back to you on that.
There's plenty of ways to get there.
There's all different ways. Corona has closed the borders to South Australia. Look, you've got a problem there. And Matthew, Danielle, actually, you got that 100% right, Danielle, but for some reason, I think you may already know that answer. Matthew, why would you need to go to Perth? Alan, I'm going to refrain from my profanity because I wasn't thinking of people's families. He said F and everything. A road trip with Birchy, walk, etc. Okay, so I'm just going to put us all out of misery. You need to know where Perth is. You need to know where Perth is, and you need to know where you are, right? You need to know where it is that you're starting from. So as per the one beforehand, I'm 50. I don't have many time to screw it up. How, you know, I can't wreck it. So if you have clarity on where you are, I speak to people and ask that question, and they say, you'd fly to Perth. It's like, okay, But where are you starting from? If you live in Perth, you're not going to fly to Perth. You're going to walk, you're going to train, you're going to bus, Uber, whatever you need to do to get there. If you live in Sydney, you can drive there, you can hitchhike, you can ride a camel, you can walk, skateboard, wear your rollerblades, drive a truck, whatever it may take. If you live in New Zealand, you can't drive to Perth from New Zealand. You will fall in the ocean, right? You will not be able to make it that far. And that is an issue. So it's important to work out, where are we heading to? Where are we starting from? What options are available? And then taking the best option. Everyone just jumps and says, you catch a plane, right? Let's assume I'm in Sydney and I want to get to Perth. We'll put those parameters in place. I'm in Bella Vista right now, and I can't get a plane to land in Bella Vista and land in Perth. I'm going to have to hop on the metro train, catch a train to Chatswood. I'm going to have to get out of that train, maybe catch an Uber, a bus, whatever it takes to get to the airport. They're going to have to hop on. I'm going to have to plan the timing that it's going to take. If there's traffic, you know, how much of a delay. If I've got a wedding to attend to in Perth, let's say tomorrow morning, today's Wednesday, let's say it's a Thursday afternoon, wedding, I'm going to have to plan to get to the airport and catch a plane. The plane's the only option to get me there. If I have a meeting to attend to in Perth from Sydney and it's in 2 weeks' time, I could then drive. If I'm having to go to the airport to get the plane tomorrow, and if I miss the plane due to the fact that there's too much traffic on the road, then I'm screwed. So they're all elements of risk that come into the equation that I need to plan for. I need to have a strategy for. I need to have an option, a plan B on how I can get there. I may not want to sit in a smelly taxi, which is the diff. Have you ever sat in a cab and you realise you hear like the clunky dip in the back, it's like clunk, right? The car's driving, it's like clunk, and it takes off, right? I feel unsafe in that, right? I don't want to sit into that. I don't want to see that, could that stain on the wall be from a big night on Saturday and someone vomited in the taxi? I don't know. I don't want to sit in that taxi. But if I have to hop in that taxi to do that task, to get to the airport, I'm going to hop in the taxi and get on the way to the airport. I don't like flying, so I just drive everywhere. I'd hop in a helicopter. I don't like planes. And Beau's laughing because I actually missed it. I sat under my desk and cried because I was really upset that I missed his wedding, actually, because it was in New Zealand. So
he said he was coming.
$20 million worth of debt, that's cool. Hopping on an aeroplane, can't do it. I committed myself, I booked the room, I paid the accommodation and everything just in anticipation to make myself committed, and I couldn't do it. I need to go to speak to someone about that. But looking at, having that end goal in mind, if you can have a complete understanding of, where you are. So like, let's pretend that there's some numbers in here. Let's pretend that someone's given me the information. Not that I would have shared it up here, but I would have had it on a printout and looked at. You might say, I can't buy a property. I'm 45 years old and got no money to buy a property. I'm renting. I've been renting for 20 years and I work. I earn 50 grand a year. I can't get a job. Well, if we sit there and go, okay, you've got some super, if you've got 150, 200 grand of super, there could be a potential to buy a property, which, just a disclaimer, in case any of my friends from the communist government out there wish to, take me for financial advice. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm talking about concepts and strategies. If you need financial advice, we can give that, or we can offer that to you to help you get to where you want to be. So this is just very generic, obviously, talking about how to get to Perth. But looking at your super, someone might have money in their super and could buy 2 properties. They thought they couldn't do anything, but it's there, you could possibly do it. You could have, a spouse, you could have a husband and a wife in a super fund. So there could be 2 amounts of super. You might go, well, I can't buy a property in the super. I've only got 80 grand. But if you have a spouse that might have 80 grand, then you've suddenly got 160. There is the possibility that someone could do something like that. You might say, I've only got 50 grand, but I've got, 2 kids, or they've got 50 grand each, or I've got 2 parents and we want to build a family super fund. So there's options there. You might sit there and say, I've got no savings. But if you bought a property in 2008 or 2015 for say 300 grand and now it's worth 500 grand, there could be equity in the property that you can pull out the equity and then use that equity to go buy 3 properties deposits. When I see this sheet and it has information, I can give within 2 minutes an understanding and an answer to you as to what you can do in the next 12 months, 3 years and 5 years. It's up to you whether you want to take action. It's up to you whether you want to be committed. It's up to you whether you want to do what it takes to get to the end goal. But you tell me what your goals are, I'll tell you how to get there. That's what I do. Yeah. Looking at this, I think it's really important to have clarity, right? Clarity about your income streams. People sit here and they go, okay, I'm self-employed or their salary via their job. If you're self-employed, then there's a new risk. The banks look at you differently. If you've got PAYG, the banks will look at you differently there. Is your income enough to support the level of debt that you've got? How much more debt? What is your debt ceiling? You know, how much debt do you need to get? How many properties do you need to get to where you want to be? If you need to get, and this is like just very small, you know, top level, I'm happy to share this with you guys. This is stuff I'll talk about in a map session to get you to where you want to be. If you need 10 properties in your portfolio, if you say your goal in 5 years is to get 100 grand of passive income, let's break it down. What does financial Perth look like? 100 grand a year is $2,000 per week. $2,000 per week is 52 weeks of 2 grand is 100 grand a year. An average rent at 300 bucks per week, 300 bucks times 7 would be 2,100. If you wanted 100 grand a year and you had 7 properties returning 300 bucks a week, that's 100 grand a year. So ultimately, what you need to do is break it down. If you want 100 grand a year, you need to go find yourself 7 properties that return 300 bucks a week. It's very simple. Very simple. I make it sound simple, but there's lots of, you know, things in the meanwhile to be able to get there. Finance is a risk. You know, equity for the deposit. There's all those extra little bits. So you need to break it back down. So if you've got a goal of getting 100 grand a year, it could be 7 properties owned outright. That's 300 bucks a week. 300 bucks a week. It's pretty easy. You can go find it. How much would those properties cost? 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand. How many deposits do you need to require? Do you have the deposit saved up? Do you have the deposit in equity? Do you have equity? So you might be sitting there going, I can't afford it. I can't save 50 grand for a deposit. Well, do you have it in equity? Do you have it in your super? Do you have a spouse that has it? Do you have an asset that's not performing? Do we sell off that asset and get 2 more deposits and go buy 2 of those properties? Where does the next equity come from? So you might buy the first property, but who cares about the first property? No one cares about the first property. Everyone focuses on the first property. Everybody thinks that the property is a destination. They go, I need a property. I need 5 properties. It's like, no, what's that property going to do? How's that property going to get you to where you want to be? I only buy houses. Okay, but the house is an aeroplane. If you can't get to the airport, that house is useless. How are you going to get to the airport? How are you going to keep the banks happy? For me personally, I sit there and think, what does the bank need from me? All right? I understand how the bank works. No one understands the bank like Nathan. All right? I've got 20 mil worth of money from them. They gave me 20 mil. There's people sitting in jail at the moment who had guns and robbed a bank, right? I walk in the bank with a smile and say, hey, look, here's a property, will you give me a loan? They say, yeah, sure. They're giving you money, right? We've got the ability to go understand how the leverage works, understand how the bank works. You know, they're wanting to give you money. You're the consumer to them. How do you, position yourself in order to get the banks to lend you money? You might need to increase your, savings. You might need to increase your income. You might need to reduce your expenses. I speak to people, and every conversation that I have on a map session is different. Sometimes it is, you need to go earn more money. Sometimes it's you've got to stop spending. You're on 200 grand and you've got 5 grand a year in savings. You've got all this credit card debt. You need to fix your lifestyle up. It's not about what you can save. I see people on 60 grand buying 5 properties in a year. How can someone on 60 grand buy 6 properties in a year, right? 5 properties in a year. I've got people that are on $250,000 and they can't even get a deposit. So you have to go back and focus on yourself, fix yourself up. What area do you need? This all gels together. You want to be a successful investor. Don't sit here and tell me, oh, I'm going to be a successful investor. Get me 10 properties. I see people on 40 grand. They go, I want 200 properties like you. And I want it in 2 years. So it's not going to happen, mate. Be realistic. Focus on the SMART goals. Understand what are our goals. What actions can we take? If I have this information, I can tell you what is realistic. I can tell you the way to get there. I can be like, I used to think I was Neo in the Matrix. You know, Neo's there trying to outsmart the Matrix. I look at it when I'm talking to people about a map session. I'm Morpheus saying, here's the phone, pick up the phone, duck here, move here, get there. We need to understand how the banks are looking at it. It's not about your first property. People, I speak to people, they've got 5 properties, they've got 4 properties. They need 8 to retire. They need 10 to retire. They got 4. They're stuck. They're never going anywhere else. They're stuck at 4. They bought the wrong vehicle. If you have the ability to get from Sydney to Perth, you know that you've got to go from Sydney to Perth. You know you need to drive a car, a taxi, a bus, a train, and a plane. Right? I was on a map session recently, and I was talking to this lady, and she is overseas. Right? She's based overseas, and she's in Papua New Guinea. And I was talking about her portfolio, and I was like, she goes, what do you think of my properties? I'm like, they're cool properties, but you've never pulled equity out of those properties. And she's like, okay, well, wouldn't you, should I sell them? I was like, no, don't sell them. They're okay. I was like, how would you get to Sydney? And she goes, I'd fly there because, you know, she's in Papua New Guinea. And I was like, cool. I said, so would you need a car to get to the airport? And she goes, yes. I said, so if you had 2 vehicles, you need a car and a plane. And she's like, yes. I said, so what you've done is that you've flown the plane from your house to the airport, exhausted all your resources, and now you've got a car to get to Sydney. You've done it in reverse. So if you purchase the wrong assets, you structure it wrong, then it becomes an issue. So looking at, you know, where I've seen here someone says I'm in waffling territory. How are you going to get from where you are to where you want to be? You know, that's the ultimate answer. That's the ultimate question. Are the actions that you were taking going to get you there? Have you got the right vehicles? Have you got clarity on your vehicles? Have you got clarity on how you were going to get there? I said I was going to be a billionaire by 40. I'm doing everything I need to do in order to get there. Am I on track? It depends, right? If I go, okay, 40 years old or 30 years old, I need to earn $50 million a year, my net worth position. Maybe not, but I've got the right arcs, I've got the right vehicles, I've got the right positions to be able to get myself there. I'm still very confident in being able to be a billionaire by the age of 40. And I think, you know, half of us here will be able to get there from inflation alone, right? That's a whole different story. I've talked about hyperinflation a lot. I've talked about different ways of being able to get there. So if you wanted to build a position, let's go back to analogies and back to, you know, factual. If you wanted to earn $100,000 a year, that's $2,000 a week. You need to break it back down. Could you earn that from a business? You could. You could set up an online store. You could bring passive income in. You could build active income. If you're working in a business, if you've got a business, that's active income still. You want to create passive income to be able to have that reoccurring. You eat food daily. You consume daily. You hop in your car, you need petrol daily. You have bills daily, right? You need money coming in daily. I'm always broke. I've taken that fiat money that's worthless out of my bank account and bought a new asset. Every day I'm building new assets, improving my asset position. I've constantly got money coming in. I get paid daily. Is your lifestyle bringing in daily? What can you do to get paid daily? What actions? It doesn't matter about property. Property is just one of the vehicles. People say to me, I want a house. It has to be a house. I don't do units. Well, that's cool. You want to catch a plane, but you've got no way of getting to the airport. Do you need a house? Do you need a unit? Do you need something for equity? Do you need something for cash flow? What is the property going to do? I look at the property in a messed up way that 99% of other people don't look at, but that's why my position is different to the rest of everyone out there. So when I look at the property, I think, what does the bank require from me? What is my understanding of the bank? How much time have you spent understanding how your bank requires you to perform a certain task? What have you put your knowledge into? What have you put your research into? Do you understand how the banks work? Do you understand, you know, how tax law works? People say, oh, this greedy guy is negative gearing everything. If I negative geared my properties, I'd be bankrupt. I wouldn't be sitting here saying I'm buying 4 motels in the month of December of 2020. I'd be sitting here saying, Oh, how can I, get these administrators away from me? You need cash flow. So, do you want cash flow? Do you want net worth? What is your position? What are you trying to achieve? What actions are you taking? What is your knowledge base? What steps are you taking to get there? You're not going to get 50 properties overnight. You might, right? But you need to work out, okay, if I buy 2 properties, I've got 100 grand today and I have two $50,000 deposits. That's cool. I can buy 2 properties for 250 grand a piece. But then after those 2 properties, how are you going to get to properties number 3 and 4? Are you going to be stuck at number 2? And then you can't reach your goals with 2 properties. You're going to be earning $600 a week. JobKeeper and Centrelink's paying more than that at the moment, right? 2 properties ain't going to get you there. Or is it 1 property that's, a big shopping centre, right? How are you going to buy that property? You don't have the deposit to buy that property. Is going to bring the cash flow. So you're back to square one. So you need to plan your journey. So for the waffling of, how to get there and looking at it from an analogy perspective, I think it's important to put it into perspective because people look at the property as a vehicle, as a destination, but they're not looking as a vehicle. They're looking at their job as a destination. People are resigned to the fact that they have to go spend 40 years of their life enslaved to tax as a tax slave and earning money from a job. If I had to get paid once a week or once a fortnight or once a month, that ain't a life, right? It's like, oh, please give me some money so I'm going to pay my bills. You need to be creating constantly. Can I bring cash flow from here? Can I bring cash flow from there? I know I've got 230 properties that bring in cash flow. I know I've got businesses that bring in cash flow. I know I've got other investments, other assets that bring in cash flow returns and actions that I'm doing, processes, procedures that get there. In your property portfolio, you need to have processes, procedures in your portfolio. You need to have systems. I know every quarter I go and reassess my rents. I look at where I can bump them up. My Gold Coast rents, I looked at them yesterday. I can put them up by 30 to 40 bucks. I'm going to increase my salary. Are you going to go to your boss tomorrow and say, hey, give me a $20,000 pay rise this year? It's not going to happen. We're in a depression. I'm going to sit there and look at my cash flow position and go, okay, my properties, I need to get 20 grand. How can I push the rents up? This one here, $10, this one here, $20. If you had 10 properties and you increase the rent by $10 per week, right? That's $100 a week. That's 5 grand a year. You need to have the arc. You need to have the vehicle. You need to have the vessel to get you from where you are to where you want to be. You need to identify what steps you need to take to get there. There's lots of cool results. 2020, seen a lot of people lose their jobs, a lot of people lose their businesses, lots of things that go wrong. We've seen lots of businesses emerge. We've seen lots of sectors emerge. We've seen lots of people build wealth. And I've never seen so much opportunity as what I see in 2020. 2021 is going to be massive. So if we're talking about property, it is what you make it. Someone said, I love your enthusiasm here, and I do it with a smile. I feel like the happiest guy in the world. I have knowledge, I have understanding. I've spent the time, all my mates are out partying, all my mates are out traveling, all my mates are doing different things. I spent my time researching. I spent my time, understanding the situation and the position. And when I can pull that chess piece out and go, checkmate. And that's the environment we're in. What can you do to improve your life? It could be put your rents up. It could be that you budget better. It could be, savings goal. It could be what goals can you do? Because hand on your chest, could you have made your year better than what you did in 2020? I actually, hand on my chest, I don't think I could have made my year any better. I did so much. I fit so much into my life, and it's been great. And that's why I feel fulfilled. Right? We're in the middle of a depression, right? Whether you admit it or not, like it or not, that's what we're served with. But how are we navigating? How are we taking advantage of the opportunities? What is the clarity? So Luke, you asked beforehand, how can you keep attached to habits? I know the world stands aside for the person who knows where they are going. If you have clarity on where you're going, you know what you need to do, you remain committed, take your head up and you go, yeah, cool, okay, cool. I need to get back to it. Now, you don't see Nathan out there partying and showing you champagne bottles every night and all that sort of stuff, because that's not what gets me to that. And just my thoughts on that front. As for a map session, if you want to fill in the form, you do want to have a map session. Just seeing here on a serious note, email me if you have questions in here. I'll get this printed off later on and attend to those questions, but I will keep going. We've got so many more slides. I can see you've got 30 more slides, and I'll get through them much more quicker. But as for a map session, there's lots of things to cover off on, and it's a strategy, what we want to look at. If we looked at how to get to Perth, right, here is your goals, right? When I'm speaking to someone, I need to know, where are we traveling to? Where is Perth for you? Where is your financial future? Like, I can sit here and talk to you for an hour in a map session about your life and spirituality and whatever we want to talk about. But if you have clarity and you go, okay, I've got Nathan on the phone, I want to talk to him, this is the clarity of where I want to be at, then we need to work out, here's the top section, here is where we are, right? It's called a map session because it's there to give us direction and clarity. Work out where we are, work out where we're trying to go to, and we can draw a plan on how to get there. Do you need 2 properties? Do you need 5 properties? Do you need 10 properties? Do you need 20 properties? A loose leaf is just 100 grand a year. You need 7 properties owned outright. Would you pay those properties off? How long would it take you to save up and pay off all these mortgages at 2% interest? Right? Who wants to pay off interest at 2%? Keep the loan. Collect the cash flow. If you're buying a property with a 10% yield and you're paying 2% or 3% interest, you got 7% there. Right? That's your cash flow. I drive around with a ute with another plate cash flow. I used to be on a Bentley. That doesn't bring in cash flow. My ute does because it works. Cash flow is the king. It's not cash. Cash loses its value. I want to own as many assets on the chessboard as possible. I want recurring cash flow coming through to be able to support my lifestyle. That's it.
I would suggest anyone who hasn't had a map session with Nathan, it's definitely worth doing in regards to, you get to spend an hour with him. He's going to understand more about your position, what your goals are, what your current situation is, and where you want to be. Then he's thinking in your corner of how can he help you get there. So he's got experience. He's got over 200 properties. If you've got 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, he's got a lot more than all of us. So it's definitely worth the time for him to understand your position, and he'll talk about the devaluation of the currency. I've listened in on a number of different map sessions, and he provides an extreme amount of value on a few different rabbit holes, but you've got to understand the system and how the system works in order to leverage it and play it to the best of your ability to get you to where you want to be faster.
Thanks, Beau. I appreciate the feedback on that. And I was talking about computer games. When I was a kid, I had no friends, and I used to have to play lots of computer games. Life is my game now, right? And playing that game of life, the only difference between me today and me 10 years ago is got options, I've got choices, got freedoms, and that's all come from a lifestyle of design. My slogan for B.Invested is live life on your terms. Everybody should have personal liberty and freedom. To be able to do that, we go to a 12-year indoctrination camp to become a tax slave and to work for a system which is going to keep reducing taxes and paying interest back to the controlling powers, and understanding the game that we're in, being able to plan strategy. Most people have 1 or 2 properties. The difference between our investors here, which is 10, 20 properties in their portfolio, is the strategy, the process, the framework. Most businesses don't end up on Amazon and like Amazon and Google and all those sorts of things. They're there probably for a different reason anyway. But how did those people and how did those businesses get in those places? It all came down to planning, strategy, processes, systemizing, and it doesn't happen overnight. It comes with gradual progression and having targets, KPIs for your personal position to be able to get there. So if you can treat it like a business, treat your investing, treat your savings, treat your knowledge, and continuously grow, you're going to have a greater chance of being able to get there. So yeah, my thoughts on that. Got onto some fun stuff here. Actually, I'm just having a look on here. Yeah, got a few little slides here. I've got my goals, so I'm just going to share just some of these with you guys. It's very, very fine printing because I put about 9 pages onto one Excel sheet. So I've got the same sheet. Some of my goals for this year under health was to exercise 4 times per week. I didn't identify exactly what exercises I'd be doing, which I'm going to clarify on my next year's. which I do go out there. I've bought some weights, so haven't been going to the gym that much, but I do commit to that. I go for about 10 k's worth of walking every day to try and fit that in. Eat whole foods rather than processed 90% of the time. I write that there because I used to eat every meal out of a brown paper bag. Even when I was at my fittest, I was like ripped and all that. People ask me, "You're on the gear." I was going to the gym all the time. I was eating really, really bad food at the time. So all the food I eat is organic, and none of it is processed. I do eat occasionally a small bit of ugly food, but always feel like I'm injecting myself with many diseases when I do it. I wrote here actually specific, a maximum of 2 meals per week from a fast food outlet, being takeaway sort of food. Remove soft drink from my diet, only drink twice a week. Very specific. If I'm going to have it, I only have it twice a week. Every meal I'd have would have some sort of soft drink or whatnot. Drink at least 1 litre of water per day. I never drank water. Beau drinks like 5, so I want to stretch 3 times a week. Yoga twice a week. Wellness, family. I can go through all this, heaps of them. Spiritual. I even put down to making new friends, the amount of people that I spend social time with. So I put in there, I'd like to get to know 3 new friends, close friends in 2020, people that I bring into my circle. I'm very mindful of the people that come into my circle because, so many times people want to, take advantage of Nathan. People want to take the piss out of me. People try and come in with bad negativity that comes with them. So, I need to section off and I need to protect, and that's something that I need to put up, how I'm going to protect myself. There's people that are out there that want to drain your energy, they want to argue, they want to bring shit in your life. You have to cut it sometimes, and it's a hard thing to do. As we're human beings, and we have the human element of wanting to connect with people. Sometimes you need to get rid of people. I wrote in here, allow 0 negative energy in 2020. So like straight up, you bring that, get out. And I've made very big calls to remove people from my life, whether it be nice or not. I had to face that. From a business perspective, certain goals that I'd set for this year. I'm not reading through all these. There's like 100 of them here. I will touch on my B.Invested community business goals a little bit later. I haven't set my goals for 2021 yet. I'm still working in 2020, and right up to the minute of changing over on New Year's Eve, I will still be writing my goals. On New Year's Eve, I spend the whole day locked away, somewhere nice, on the beach, whatever the case may be, sort of planning, strategy, working out all the things that I want in my life, all the things I don't want in my life, what commitment I will put towards making that happen, and putting a strategy. I've got the strategy. I don't need to think about it anymore. I don't need to have a dream. I need to take action. The minute, not the minute the clock ticks over, maybe the next day or two, I'll still be refining that strategy, a few things I didn't think of, relaxing a little bit, but then getting straight into, achieving my goals for that year to be ahead. From business goals, specific tasks that I needed to do, specific KPIs that I need to do, specific things that I needed to do where I knew that I was failing, processes, procedures, people that we need to welcome into the business, areas of the business we need to grow, which were all itemized here. Personal goals, some of them were very humble compared to beforehand. A specific car, I bought a new truck, which I wanted, so I put that there. Specific amount of cash that I wanted in my bank, specific amount of acquisitions that I wanted to do of certain things that I have in my life. Holidays, I said I wanted to have 4 holidays in 2020, which I'll get to. I'm almost there. Purchase a specific property that I wanted to live in, which I settled on. Actually got that. The amount of certain things that I wanted to acquire in my life, specifically there. Just tidying up of some things that were hanging over me. It's important to calibrate to where you are. Like a lot of people will bury their head in the sand. We're actually talking about there's a lot of things that we approved in the business this year at B.Invested, some of the things that we blacked on, some of the things that we manage is important. Like sometimes we screw up, we're human. And I was sitting there yesterday having meetings with my managers on Tuesdays. I have management meetings with my team, and I was talking about, I've got all these TVs that are now on the wall. And when we put the TVs on the wall, we're going to put stats and numbers and certain things on there. And some of the managers weren't comfortable with it. I'm like, you need to put it up there. I expect to see it up there. It will be up there. And that keeps people accountable because they don't want to look like an idiot because they've got their stuff up on the wall. And there's fear that people have. People want to, not, do certain things. And being vulnerable is important. When I say I'm going to do something, I put it out there. I have to do it. And I have to do it. I talked to everyone about a solar farm a couple of years ago on my personal socials. I'm putting up their solar panels. I've got shipping it out. I didn't know I'd be in the transport industry. Who would have thought, right? So personal goals, property. Some of my property goals, build on a specific site. I said I wanted to build 5 duplexes on this site, and I'm going to take some videos of it over the course of next week. I had unfortunately, one of them burned down, and I thought about it. I was like, hang on a second, I could go and get these removable houses and insert them in the backyard of these properties. And surprise, surprise, I'm putting 5 new properties in the back of 5 of these properties, right? I don't need to build a 400 grand duplex that's got all these, structures to it. I can literally spend $60,000 on each one and get an extra $500,000 profit out of each one of those properties. So down to specifics like that, down to specific properties that I'd acquire, how many motels that I was going to buy, how many commercial properties I would buy. I literally tick those things off my list in 2020. My rents, I put in there that I always want to increase my rents by 20%, by 10%, and I'm very, committed to making that happen. So, review my portfolio. I actually put down there, I'll review my portfolio weekly. I can't say that I've done that every week, but when I look at it, I'm like, shit, I need to fix that up. I need to attend to this. And having it documented, I can jump onto that sort of stuff. Talked about my cryptocurrencies, all the fun stuff around that. Talked about different parts of my businesses, talked about my precious metals. Some of these are pretty boring, some of them are a little bit more personal to myself. I put in there how many properties I would buy. I said I would purchase a 100-acre property. I bought a 1,250-acre property this year. It's 12 times the size of what my goal was. Purchase a waterfront property, purchased. Purchase another motel, purchase 4 of them. Right? Having clarity as to what those assets will be, having clarity around the amount of time that I go and spend with my family, visit my mum every week. I call my mum every second day. I tell her I love her when I hang up the phone. The habits of how to, get through a life that's more fulfilling. There's little things that you could be doing. People might say, you've got no money, you've got this, you can't do this. Find a way to be able to take baby steps to improve it. It becomes a to-do list. As I said beforehand, this file here, which was on my computer, was created in my life goal plans in 2008. I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that were in there. Some of them are different colors, they have different coding and different things. So I put a goal in 2003 to buy my first house for $300,000 was my expected cost, just in that form like we had, the date to achieve it, all that. I was able to achieve it. The cost of it was $265,000, which I later pulled down to $248,000. I was specific as to what I needed. I had goals of, I had here the 4th of the 11th, 2004, system in place for investment deals. I had achieved that system by the 1st of the 1st, 2005. I put in there, I wanted to start a share collection. I wanted to buy shares, and it was the amount that I wanted to achieve. Was in there, it's later on in this thing. I used to buy shares constantly. I wanted to set up some businesses. I wanted to purchase a property in Queensland. I wanted to go to Queensland. Just random little things that I started attaching here. I'll get into some of the later ones. I wanted to set up a company in 2006. I wanted to buy Here's one here that's really funny. In 2000, on the 25th of the 3rd, 2004, I want to have a farm with 100 acres within 4 hours of Sydney, and I wanted to have it by 2008. I didn't have that 100-acre property, but this year I bought 2 of them. One of them 2 hours from Sydney, one of them 5 hours from Sydney. Massive farms. On the 29th of the 3rd, 2004, I wanted to write a book about my success. I wrote a book. On the 31st of the 3rd, 2004, I wrote I wanted to have a coin collection. I have a lot of precious metal, and I have a lot of antiques and stuff that I store in all different locations for risk minimization. On the 25th of the 3rd, 2004, I wrote that I wanted to have 10 properties by the age. Lost Beau here. Yeah. Beau, you still there?
Yep, I'm here, mate.
The
My
video.
camera's just fine up. Give me a second.
I can add you back
Keep
in,
going.
or okay.
No, I'm all good. I'll get the camera sorted. You keep going.
Okay, cool. I wrote here, so I want to have 10 properties by the 1st of the 6th, 2009. By the time I was 25, I wanted to have 10 properties. I thought it was impossible, but I took the steps in order to be able to do that. I wanted, on the 7th of the 3rd, 2004, I put down that I wanted to have a property company. There was no such thing as a property. In 2004, I was 19 years old, just to put it in perspective. I had no grey hair, I had a face full of pimples, I had a stupid looking flat top. There was no way that chicks would talk to me back in that day. And I wanted to have that, the property company, by the 1st of the 1st, 2010. If you guys go on, and you will see that B.Invested was founded in March 2009. I reached that goal. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Some of these things are really silly, like, I wanted to have a drum kit. I never got a drum kit. I don't know how to play a drum. That's not me. I want to have a project car. On the 14th of the 8th, 2004, I've bought project cars. I've made cars. I want to have things. I want to have my principal place of residence. So I wrote here, I wanted on the 31st of the 3rd, 2004, principal place in residence in Sydney for $800,000. I wanted to have on the 31st of the 3rd, 2004, I wanted to have a house in the Blue Mountains. I ended up buying a 36-unit motel. I wanted to have $100,000 in my bank account on the 25th of the 1st, 2005. But I wanted to have that by the 1st of the 1st, 2015. I've never had money in my bank account. It comes in, it goes out. I've had $1 million land in my bank account in a day, and I've had spent over $1 million in a day from my bank account, just buying all random different things and having to pay money off. Right? Bo's shaking his head because it's true. Think about the numbers, focus on the numbers. When I first wrote this thing, this was back in 2008 was the last time this was saved. It was saved in Excel 97 to 2004, right? You can't even save the file formats in that anymore. I wanted to have a holiday property on the water on the 31st of the 3rd, 2004. I've bought numerous amounts of properties on the water. I've got Sunshine Coast, Noosa. I've got 360-degree views over the ocean, over the hills. I've got all these different properties. I've bought bloody 24 properties on the Central Coast on the water, shopping centres, medical centres, all different stuff. A yabby farm. It's funny that I wrote here a yabby farm. I talk to people, I share people on my personal socials, my dams, my stuff like that. I was very specific, actually, how I'd want to find. I actually wrote down what my girlfriends had to have as their personality types because I didn't want to deal with girlfriends. And this was back in 2004 of what they would sort of act like, how they'd carry themselves, what I wouldn't accept as that. It's understanding who you are, what you want, who you want in your life. Looking at, the income levels I wanted to earn. In the 21st of the 12th, 2006, I wrote that I wanted to earn 150 grand in 2008. I was 21, right? I was working 2 jobs. This was before everyone started earning big money, right? Going back 10 years ago, 40 grand was a big salary. Now, Centrelink pays everybody for JobKeeper. It's universal basic income. I wanted to have properties in specific locations. 10 properties by the age of 30. I wanted that by the 8th of the 5th, 2015, which was my birthday, my 30th birthday. I thought it was impossible to be able to do that. I found a way, made it happen. On the 31st of the 5th, 2004, I would have just turned 19. Just turned 19 in the 31st of the 5th, 2004. Acquire $5 million in assets by 30 years old. I made my first $1 million 2 years later in Western Sydney, in Mount Druitt. Everyone said it's impossible. I was doing the stuff no one wanted to do. So having the bigger plan like that, I had another gold lease here, which was a 10-year list. That was and the next year to that, I want to be on the BRW rich list. I had BRW contact me to put me on the rich list. I said, no, I don't want to get a tax audit. So, putting yourself on the spotlight, your ego gets you killed. I had it on my list in 2008 to retire at the age of 50. I retired at the age of 25, just a couple of years later. I put in there that I want to have a year off at the age of 35. I'm 35 now. Haven't had the year off, but I could if I want. I guess I live life how I want anyway. I wrote here I wanted to have 5 acres in Druitt in northwestern Sydney. I bought 200,000 square metres, about 10 of them out there. Have a portfolio of 40 properties by the age of 35. Obviously smashed that. It's like 5 times that, 6 times that. Have a passive income of 350 grand per annum net was one of my goals. Go to the finest restaurants, surround myself with quality people. You only know what you know at the time. I want to own an island. So many times I've got to buy an island, and I'm really upset because I just missed out on one. I was had 10 villas on it, sold for $30 million previously, and I could have picked it up for $1 million. It was trashed by Cyclone Debbie. Visit Australia regularly as a part of my lifestyle. I travel, look at the properties, I spend a month here, month there. Do get to travel on that front. I wanted to have a waterfront property on the Central Coast and a specific location, which I don't want to disclose here because I actually do have that property there. I want to move out of home at 23, so it was before 2008 that I wrote this. I did move out of home for a little while and moved back in. I want to create multiple, this is where it gets fun, create a business worth a mozza, create multiple businesses, create a business system for businesses, have a quality group of professionals, set up a property company, set up property trusts, get into property development, make seminars and books, live in Queensland, teach and mentor people, and have personal development. I didn't know that Facebook would exist. This was pre-Facebook, this was pre-Instagram, pre-YouTube. I put these things down. I've got things here about how many children I want to have in life and all that sort of stuff. But they're all things that, they come, you put it in there, you focus on it, you'll find a way, and you'll keep back on track to become the person that you want to be. I wrote, this was a little list that I wrote, which was like really, I was making sure there's no names or no things back at the time. You can tell this is like an 18-year-old version of myself. I want to have a social life. I want to have weekends back. So I used to work 7 days a week. I want to go out on Friday and Saturday nights with mates and party. That was equal number 3. I play the PlayStation with my mates. Having a PlayStation. I didn't even own a PlayStation. I wouldn't even spend $20 on a CD because I realized that $20 was an hour of my time that I would consume at work, working in a job. And if I had 10 hours of 10 CDs, that would involve a day. And I didn't have a day to miss at that point in time. So I was very disciplined, very systemized, very processed. So it's not just by chance that the Beau guy from Western Sydney was created. It's a habit. It's a continuous habit to become the person that I decide to be. Yeah, I find it gives me bits of shivers when I don't mean shivers in the drinks. It gives me shivers like thinking about how naive I was, how lacking of self-confidence that I had back in the day, how naive I may have been, but how my commitment, how the passion was, and how the focus and having a vision, enabled me to make step by step. If you want 10 properties, don't think about going, if I want to go to the gym and be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm not going to be like going to the gym for one day. I need to go and do push-ups, I need to do sit-ups, I need to eat healthy, I need to get myself into a position that would be like that deserves to have that, right? And at this point, I don't deserve to have that. So I don't have Arnold Schwarzenegger body, but if I wanted to, it would take, that training and the habits to be able to get there. Commitment. It's people that are successful in sports, people that are successful in businesses. all the people that Beau sees on a day-to-day basis in his business environment through business, helping people out with their businesses, they all have character traits of commitment. And Beau, you'd see when people lack in a business or lack something that they're doing, where they're going wrong. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It comes back down to discipline, their energy, their intention, and you can tell based upon how they're showing up every day, how their business is performing.
Yeah. On that note, I've talked a lot about myself for the last little while, sharing with some stuff from years ago. I don't know, I threw this in here, Beau. What's Beau's goals? What's Beau's working on? What are your
I'll
goals?
keep mine short and sweet. Like, I hope everyone can appreciate, obviously, Nathan's, kind of gone quite deep into his kind of goals and lists over the last 10 years. So it's a good opportunity for everyone to kind of get to know him and setting goals. And sometimes you don't achieve them, but the more you reflect upon them, you may achieve them. You might set a goal to achieve it 1 year, but you might achieve it within 1.5 or 2 years time. So it's making sure that you're playing the long game, not just the short game, and getting disappointed if you don't hit a goal on a certain date. It might take a little bit more time. And anytime you set a goal, you're going to be challenged. I've seen it time and time again. From, hey, I want to meet a new person, or hey, I want to meet this person. The opportunity will show up within a week. Yet again, it might look as hard work. You wouldn't actually knock on the door and do whatever it takes to get there. So, in regards to everyone here, I thought, for me, listening to all those goals and your journey over the last kind of 10 years with the goals you set, super inspiring. I'm always learning from everyone, and I continue to learn a lot from Nathan as well. Some of my goals, I like to cycle, so my goal is to cycle at least 3 times a week, do weights twice a week. I drink probably 4 to 5 litres of water most days. That gives me the energy to show up every day and be that leader that I need to be for the team and then the companies that I'm working with. I like to do like a half an hour at least of meditation, probably 4 or 5 times a week. And that's visualization, reviewing goals. I do that all in my mind, or listening to a certain meditation music. I like to listen to 3 podcasts per week. That's normally on business, personal growth, psychology, learning from other successful people around the world. I like to read 2 books a month. I don't really read books. I used to. I have got about 600 books that I've got in boxes in my garage. Since everything turned digital, and to maximise my time, I shifted to Audible, and I've probably got 150 books in the last 5 years on that platform. In regards to some other ones, there's some savings targets I want to achieve. In regards to getting our interest rates down, I'm like, hey, lower rates, great. Let me have a chat with Rose. Nath, what do you think I can get? Cool. What do you think I need to say? And I'll go do it. That means more money in my pocket, therefore we can reinvest. Certain number of clients I want to work with this year, I've achieved that. There's more opportunity than I can handle right now, which is fantastic, but I'm very selective. I want to be a part and work with business to help them scale that I believe in, that are going to truly make an impact. Increasing the rents on my investment properties. We've got 6 in our portfolio, plus the one we live in. So I want to increase them. Review the numbers monthly for the business and across the properties. And I definitely speak with my family once a week with mum. Obviously, they're all based in Melbourne and they've had a shit time with COVID. So it's good to check in, lift their spirits up. Probably rubbed it in a bit that we're able to travel around and live life where they're stuck in the jail box, which is their own home. But yeah, there's just some basic goals for me. I'm bigger about building teams of people, hiring the right salespeople, and placing them in the right companies to help them excel, but then making sure the right structure and systems are in place in order for the team to scale. So I know we're short on time, so I won't go into any further detail for myself. I know Nathan's got plenty more of things to get through, and I'll pass it back to him.
Thanks, Beau. I'm going to try and run through these pretty quickly to share with you guys some random stuff. So some of, like, as a business, as a community, some of the goals of these are just a few of them just to share with you guys. I want to look at increasing the rents for our investors. So for those of you that don't know, B.Invested's got a group of all different businesses that are built from scratch. One of them is a property management business. I have probably like 500 goals for each of these businesses, draw it all out on the wall. If you have a look here, I've got a glass wall with like about 2,000 post-it notes at the moment. We're planning, and Beau saw it the other day here, which is pretty cool. Looking at just some of from a high level, want to increase rents on our portfolio. I understand that real estate agents, when they're managing assets, I don't want a real estate agent handling my retirement. So I built a property management firm. We manage assets for people, and we push the rents up and try and get the highest rental return. Looking at the rents, if we can increase the rent aspect for our investors by 10% in 2021, which the strategies behind that and how we achieve that. If we can push the rents by 10% just alone, that means that revenue will be up by 10%. Our investors make a lot more money. So if you've got 10 properties and they're renting for $300 a week, there's $300 a week, $30 a week extra, $30 a week times 10, that's an extra $300 a week. And if you've got 10 properties, there's a 15 grand a year increase to your salary just for doing a few little strokes on the keyboard and sending off your emails and whatnot. And one of the bigger goals is to make 1,000 people, this is a continuous goal, 1,000 people mortgage free by 2030. 2030, have 1,000 people that have got large property portfolios which are paid out. I made that goal at the start of this year. That's one of my 10-year goals for over the community. I want to create 200 new property millionaires from zero to $1 million portfolio status. So this, I'll break it back down to have at least 6 properties. So from 0 properties to 6 properties in their portfolio. The reason why I use the number 6 is just simply due to the fact that ATO statistics show that there's less than 18,000 people with 6+ properties in their portfolio in the country. I think we've probably been, whether it be from knowledge and research or actively building those portfolios for our investors, probably been responsible for about half of them. 10 years ago as a business, there was no such industry like what we do. So take great pleasure in knowing that we sort of paved the industry for building the property portfolio sort of strategy. 10 years ago, people said buy negative geared property, people trying to sell stuff and all that. We provide information and resources to be able to build large property portfolios, and to be in the 0.001% of the wealthy Australians, put them into the high net worth category over the course of 10, 15 years. I want to get 200 new people from 0 to 6+ properties in their portfolio in 2021. And one of my other goals, I run a finance company. I want to restructure over $1 billion. That's $1 billion worth of loans for people, whether it's your principal place, whether it be your investment property. I want to restructure over $1 billion worth of debt in 2021. As I was talking about beforehand, the investor that I'm going to call on the way home this evening, I'll call him at 10 o'clock, I'll wake him up. I don't care because I need to have a conversation with him. He needs to hit his goals. I need to have words with him. He restructured his loans this year and saved $50,000. There's people out there, if you had $3 million worth of debt this time last year, your interest rates would have gone down by 1%. 1% on $3 million, because you've got a sizable portfolio, without pushing up rents, just dropping the rent or the interest rates by 1% would save you 30 grand. If you can save 2%, there is $60,000 just in doing that. So I can make a lot more people wealthy by restructuring their debt. So one of our positions and one of our goals is to get $1 billion worth of loans restructured and to save investors, on their portfolio. One of my other goals is to get over 1,000 deposits for free from equity. So people sit there and they say, I don't have a deposit. I want to see 1,000 people get the deposits from equity. So that's tied back to our finance business. If we can deliver these results to people, obviously the more people that we help, the more that we grow. Someone just asked here, I'm talking about opening a bank, or is that something you're still looking at? I would like to open up a bank as a part of my life. By the age of 40, it'd be great to have a bank. Imagine a bogan with a bag. It could be the bogan bank, right? The guy walks in the meetings with thongs. I meet with bankers. They're like, where's the guy with the suit? Where is he? And it's like, no, here I am. I've got my shorts, got my thongs on. We're ready to do business. So I would like to build a bank. Is one of my goals over the next 5 years. And one of my biggest ways that I help people is I want to purchase over 2,000 properties for people next year. I run an investment firm, obviously B.Invested, but we have an acquisition firm. So I actually, every property that I purchase for my investors, I locate the deal, I negotiate the deal, and I make the deal happen myself. So my investors' portfolios are like an extension of my portfolio. The more successful they are, the more that they're going to need to use me. So if I'm making someone 50 grand, they're going to happily spend money with me. So I want to help 2,000 people, minimum of 2,000 people, 2,000 properties purchased for my community. And I want to make sure that each one of them has got equity in them. So I've got a goal of making $10 million worth of equity from the new acquisitions in 2021. So purchasing in 2021, $10 million worth of equity, making that for people. So if we're buying properties that are 50 grand below market value, times it by 2,000, I want to know, that I've made 2,000 purchases that have made $10 million worth of equity. So buying properties that are below market value. There's some of the goals for the business. There's some high level stuff. There's lots of other goals that we've got in the business. So yeah, just thought I'd share that with you guys. Looking at some of the sort of properties that we have purchased in 2020, while most people are scared of the world, they're seeing fear and people that are freaking out. There's so many people I spoke to in the start of the year that have really, I'm going to swear, like it's 10 o'clock at night almost, and I just got to swear, people who've pissed opportunity up against the wall. But maybe take a little note on these videos and stuff. I should put a MA 15 plus rating on this, because I've got to swear, because it's got to fucking come out, right? People who've pissed opportunity. You never let a good crisis go to waste. Someone just wrote here, scamdemic, yes. Who would have thought that, we would be here where we are? I talked about this 3 years ago. I talked about it. I copped so much criticism when I was very candid. I shared with my thoughts, and I didn't care, right? I didn't care. My business suffered because people were like, oh, Nathan's lost the plot, whatever. But business has never been busier because I've been able to share the information and history before it happens out there. So I just sort of right to swear all I want. I don't have bad anger behind it. I don't have anger. I never get angry. Probably the happiest person that you come across. I have a potty mouth, but so be it. It comes from a good place. This property here, like people have pissed opportunity against the wall. It hurts me. It upsets me. But at the end of the day, I don't care, right? People have the choice of taking action. People have the opportunity to do what they want. It's not going to change the way I go home and where I go home to, and the bed I rest my head on, because that's what I do. Choices you make will eventually get you to where you want to be or get you away from where you want to be. I'm just here to shepherd people to where they want to be. This property here was one that we just did in Sydney. It is a unit. It was actually in Parramatta. I was just seeing the comments come through. Keep the comments and questions coming through. So this property here is in Parramatta in Sydney. I bought it for 295,000. It was a bulk deal. We did 8 of them. They revalued a week after settlement for $410,000. So when I send these deals out, people were saying yes or no to making 115 grand. I didn't know what they'd value up at. I didn't know what they'd come in at. But you can't buy a fucking property in Parramatta for 295 grand. I'll swear I want, because it is 9:30. I did make heaps of people 100 grand. So, so be it. I don't care. This property here is a unit in Botany. We bought it in Botany, Sydney Airport. Anyone trying to get to Sydney or out of Sydney, Sydney Airport, Botany. Bought this property. It was a block of units. We purchased them. This one here was 395,000. It revalued for 585,000. When I send this to people and they say no, they fucking said no to making nearly 200 grand. It doesn't fucking bother me. The people that bought it, actually, that property, the person bought that property, they pulled out equity and bought the property after it. They pulled money out of that and then bought another property, which, that's how they build their portfolio. There's opportunities that are out there. So you want to sit there and go, oh, there's no money to be made. We're in a depression. The world's shit. Your world will shit. The world may be a screwed up place. Yours doesn't have to be. And you can take the decisions to make action and do what you want to do. These are people that have done it. These are real life examples that have happened this year. 310 grand. This property is like just out of Sydney. Like, I mean, like it's close to the city, like to the city centre in Sydney. These things here have been selling in the same complex for $400,000 beforehand. This didn't revalue up. I don't know the stats on this, if we revalued or not. Past properties sold for 400. They've actually sold for about 450. Current properties are selling for around 400. We purchased this for 310,000. Rent on it's only about a 5% yield, but even a 5% yield is positive cash flow today because the interest rate's fucking nothing. So it's great. You know, people are making money. This property here, this one's a really cool story. This guy came to us and he wanted to buy a property. He had 28 grand. He goes, I don't think I can do anything. I've got to save up. This guy here, I said, look, we'll find a way to get you to where you want to be. And bought this property for $74,000 for him. He had 28 grand saved up, so he needed like 16 grand, 17 grand as a deposit, plus closing costs. He bought this property for 74,000. 2 days after settlement, we revalued the property 140 grand. He pulled out 45 grand in equity. He was able to get 45 grand out cash in the bank. He came to me a month beforehand with 28 grand. Bought a property, settled it 2 days, pulled out 45 grand. I bought him a second property. The second property was in Harvey Bay, and that property we bought for 150 grand. And it only settled last week. We're refinancing it at the moment. We're putting him out another 50 grand, right? So in 3 months, 3 properties, 28 grand starting position. Rents for 220 bucks a week. 74,000. I just bought a fucking Ford Ranger Raptor, and that cost me 74,000 at the start of the year. So go figure it, right? You can have a car or a house. I know someone watching this that I saw in here beforehand. This is a property that they bought. It was a 2-bedroom unit in the CBD of the Gold Coast. Everybody's going to the Gold Coast now. We haven't even revalued it. We could possibly even revalue this thing and hit it up again. Purchase price was $200,000. A week after settlement, $255,000. Able to pull out $44,000 in equity. That enabled to go buy another property. So looking at that, we're able to pull out the equity from that. And then, so this person went from 1 property to 6 properties, from 0 properties to 6 properties this year. 2 properties here, there was this one, another one for like 150, revalued them straight away, pulled out the equity, bought another 2 properties. I actually think one of the other properties was the same investor. So the deposit from this one went on to buy this one, bought it for 130, pulled out the equity, used that to buy another property. Person's got 6 properties. So yeah, looking at you know, what is achievable. People have been, you know, taking action this year. This property here was 65 grand purchase. Previous sales were 500 grand. You know, you won't find these properties everywhere. I knew this market. I knew that people got hit big time. It's a bit of a speculative play. I bought a few properties here. Don't worry about going to buy them now because the markets have all boomed. You know, I buy this stuff for my investors before the markets take off. These things are selling for about 120 grand. We're not buying it for equity, buying it for cash flow. 65 grand rent for 375 per week. Previous sales were 500 grand. When they were 500 grand, they were renting for 1,500 bucks a week. If it ever goes back to 1,500 bucks a week, good luck. You know, there you go. But it's 375 bucks a week. As I said, people go, why do I want to buy a piece of shit for $65,000? Who wants to spend 65 grand on a house or a unit or whatever? Right? It's a piece of shit. Doesn't even look nice. Sorry to whoever bought it. But they used to sell for 500 grand and they rent for 375 bucks. That's fucking 20 grand a year income on a 65 grand. Right? That's 25 grand on a 65 grand, 20 grand on a 65 grand. So if that goes to 1,500 bucks a week, it'll be 100% annual return. So yeah, there we go. Giddy up. This property here, purchased, the number there, that 560 might be there, but I think someone who made my slide deck should have been 500 comparable sales. two doors up from this, sold for 500,000. We just settled this for an investor. It's on the Central Coast. Telling me you can't buy properties. Are these out of the line, all that sort of stuff? This property was settled the other week, 383 grand on the Central Coast. Yeah, comparables next door is 500, not 560. Rent for $400 a week. Yeah, people are making money in this market. Sit there and go, oh, poor me, but you know, these are people that are doing it. This property here, just purchased to someone. It's a duplex sort of thing. It's one side, three better property. Purchase price of 285. The valuation came in on settlement at 350 grand. I can't make this shit up. The banks make it up. They're the ones that give you the money. You go to them. Here's my money. Buy a property. Take it back. Buy it. It doesn't just fall out of a fucking tree. It doesn't fall out of the sky. These people don't just trip over and go, oh, suddenly I don't know how I got 5 properties or 10 properties. They've bought the right properties. They've had a strategy. They've been committed. I don't sign the fucking contract. Someone can go, oh, I don't want to sign it. Well, don't buy it, right? Someone else will. Someone will take advantage. And these are just some examples of some of the deals in people's portfolios. If the market was to double tomorrow, I'm not saying it will, but just assume it does, whether it's tomorrow or 5 years or 10 years, whenever the market doubles, would you want to take 500 grand and double it to $1 million? People go, well, 500 grand, that's a lot of money, right? I ain't gonna, retire you on that. You need to have a larger position. Would you want to double $1 million into 2 million, 3 million and 5 million, 10 million into 20 million? What is the size of the asset base that you want to carry? If you had 10 of these properties and they go from 200, 300, whatever, and they double, you could take 2 million to 4 million, 5 million to 10 million. That's the aim of the game. Build up assets and build up this cash flow, because this cash flow just keeps coming in. I'm probably the biggest Centrelink recipient in this country, right? I'm the biggest fucking Centrelink commie funded fucking public income producing receiving recipient, right? Because what happens is that tenants that are getting the income coming through, they might get it from Centrelink, they might get help, they might get rebates, they might get whatever. Those tenants pay the rent comes into my bank account, and I use that. I go and buy more assets using the money that's coming from the tenants, coming from the government, coming into my bank account. I go buy more. I've got the system, I've got the process, I've got the procedure, just like any business would do. And that's what I do from an investment point of view. That's what my investors do. These properties, this is like a 10-year-old property. It's in a well-demand area. There's a lot of people wanting to move into the area. These things are always rented. And that's how the portfolios get built. This one here. Yes. This was one that my investor that bought 10 properties in a month. Right? This guy came on board and he purchased this one here for 265 grand on the valuation purchase, right? The banks don't purchase value over the asking price. Sometimes they do, maybe 1 out of 200 they will. Most people, when they buy properties, they're buying them at market. They're not buying them below market. I buy properties that are below market value. Looking at this property here, it came on a purchase. That's, I didn't even consider and calculate it. That's 65 grand below the valuation. We bought it 65 grand. So the person that said yes, they made 65 grand, right? The rent's for 370 per week. It's neutral to positive cash flow. It's modern with heaps of depreciation. It's a good foundation property for their portfolio. If you notice, all of these properties that I've shared, someone asked, did I cherry pick these good ones or whatever? I just pulled a litmus test for polar properties and said, chuck these in the slide deck. I didn't even choose what came in here. I saw it just before we went live today because I had to give the numbers on them of what the revaluations and confirm that. As for these properties, they're all different properties that provide different outcomes. Do you need what part of your journey you're on? Someone asked me before, and I'm 50 years old, I'm different than someone that's 20 years old. There's different risk. You're 20-year-old, there's a bigger risk. There's a 50-year-old, you've got a different risk. Everybody has risk. It's minimizing risk. There's risk in everything we do. Risk in wasting 40 years working in a job to get sacked in 2020. There's risk in everything we do. How can we minimize that risk? They're all different properties, and all different people are starting from different positions. All the people living in Perth wouldn't need to hop on an aeroplane. All the people that are in New Zealand wouldn't be able to drive to Perth. they need an aeroplane. Everybody's at different stages, and at different times you would need a different vehicle. So, yeah, they all do different things. This one here, 245. Yes. I remember this one. These must be all just recent deals that we've been doing. This one here we bought, which was about 5 kilometres from Brisbane CBD. It's a 2-bedroom unit for 245 grand. 2020, everybody's moving from Perth to Brisbane and Gold Coast and whatever. They say you can't buy properties like this. This is a 2-bedroom unit, 5Ks from city, purchase price 245. Within a week of settling the property, we revalued it for 350 grand. Evaluation, that's what the bank put in. So, I can't make this shit up. I don't have control over what the bank does. I don't have control over what the bank's going to give you money for. I'm not sitting there with a gun to their head saying, hey, cough up some fucking cash for my investors. The banks do this. This is the bank, not me. These aren't figures that I've plucked from the sky. These are actual real life deals. Check them up on RP data. Check out what they're revalued at. They're the sort of numbers that you can do. So these people, does every property stack up like that? No. The one I showed before in for 65 grand, don't expect that to value up, even though there's stuff selling at 120 and 200. Don't expect that to value up at 200 grand straight away. Right? That might take 2 years, but it's still 65 grand and it still rents for 375 per week. That's a cash flow deal. Do you need a cash flow deal? Do you need an equity deal? Do you need a capital deal? So many people's positions are screwed up because they think the property is a destination. They don't realize that property is a vehicle. When you have clarity, you have goals, you have planning, you have strategy, you're in a whole different, stratosphere of where you're at. This one, yes, I know what this one is. This one here, this one's about a year old. I bought someone at the start of this year. I actually remember going to the property, purchased it for 65,000 for the investor. Watch the news, read the news, right? Over the last 10 years, they go, property prices going up, right? Property prices going up. 2013, 2014, Sydney boom, can't afford. All these poor people crying poor. I've been in the media over 100 times, right? I used to go on TV maybe 3 times a day. That's why I wore a white t-shirt. I put a jacket on and hop on TV. Different jacket, looks different. Nathan's had a change, looks different for the outlet. No branding, no logos, because that's what I don't buy into, and I don't align myself to branding and logos and stuff like that. It's just a personal thing. And they sit there on the media lying, going, oh, house price, I can't afford. They put some loser out there, oh, I can't afford a house, and all these bad things. They try and make you look like a greedy guy. They try and make you look like you're a loser sometimes. They do that to me. They do it to other people. And you just can't trust what they put on there. So I was actually chatting to one of my mates, a good mate of mine from news station, news.com, actually today. And I've got a lot of articles that are coming out there actually now asking me for my feedback on the depression that we're in and what negative interest rates. I remember people writing my YouTube videos, Nathan, stay off the drugs, right? Get off the cocaine, the bags aren't good for you. I've never touched drugs in my life, right? And looking at those comments going, you wish that would happen because you're going to go broke when interest rates go up. I'm like, well, I've made my numbers, I've done my research, I've committed myself to learning, I've committed myself to having a strategy, and you're wrong, right? You're sitting in your mum's basement, half naked, writing a comment to someone that you hate, you've never met, and don't know their strategy, don't know their game. Now the media is now going, what's going to happen next, David? That's an amazing thing, right? I didn't think that day would come back around where they go, what's happening next? Give us your feedback. We need it, right? People need to be helped. But we've seen in the media over the years, I remember saying to my mate today at news.com that looking at, the news all around the world, it was 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, house prices unaffordable. Those front stories that were in Melbourne and Sydney, it wasn't just in Melbourne and Sydney, that was in Philippines, right? That was in the UK, that was in the US, that was in New Zealand, that was in Canada, right? That was in fucking Kenya. The front page newspaper, house prices unaffordable, right? And we look back, and then we started seeing house prices collapsing, 16, 17, 18 to 19. And then now suddenly they're all booming again, right? That's what the media says. But there's inner markets and the outer markets. The market wasn't going up all that time. There was places like this which used to sell for 400,000, like the other one that sold for 500,000, that fell by 80% of their value. And why did they fall? I want to understand why they fell. I want to understand what caused those markets to change. I want to know, why is this the bottom? Can it go lower? Can it go higher? How can I capitalize on those opportunities? And it's without having that knowledge, it's without having the understanding of the market, it's without understanding the finance and having a debt strategy and having debt goals and having acquisition goals and having, breaking it down to the smallest process that you can have to work out, what could cause this to go up. Everyone's been, losing money here. I'm a contrarian investor. I go back. That's my strategies. I'm a contrarian investor. I buy things when people don't buy them. I come back and offload it when people want it. That's why I don't go around telling people these properties and, hey, I'm buying all these little cheapies. I'll tell you after I bought them, hey, I bought all these cheapies, right? They're worth 130 grand. So whilst people may feel that 2020 has been bad, whilst they feel that you can't buy properties, this is a fucking property where I could buy multiples at 65, 70 grand, 75 grand at the start of the year. You can't buy anything without a 1 in front of it and fucking 5 digits afterwards, right? And that's the end of 2020. People made lots of money in these areas this year. Here's an example. Someone doubled their money this year. So good luck to all the haters. Here's some properties that I'm working on at the moment. Here's a nice house. Someone's got a boat in their house. This place is rented, about $500 a week rent. This is in a hot market. There's nothing under really 600 grand. I'm just putting here as a rough figure, 550 grand comparable. This is a house on land in a prime location that I've been able to secure for someone for 485. So instantly sort of, 50, 60K. I noticed the real estate agent had been trying to call me as well since we've been doing this by phone. He's just texted me again and called me. Here's a property that's available. So these ones in orange are sort of deals that I'm working on at the moment. This here is 287,000. Think about it, right? Like, to build a brand new house, if you're in the city or Sydney or wherever this property may be, it would cost you more than $287,000 to lay those fucking bricks. That house is less than 3 years old. 287,000. Comparable sales, 340 to 360, rent for 330 to 360,000. So got here a property. You get a pool in the complex, which we may need because it's summer and it's nice. 255 grand purchase. Recent sales and other properties currently on the market, $300,000. Rents 330 to 360 per week. Deals are still out there. This property here, the owner of this actually paid 220. I picked up for 140. 280 to 300 is a 10% yield. If you're paying 3% interest at the bank, getting a property, look at how nice there, got a little lake and everything like that. This property here, secured it today, 140 grand. It's there for my investors. Here is a property which, I know this one. It's a bank repo. The owner paid in 2014, 285,000. I'm picking it up here in 2020, going into 2021 for our investors, for 295. So someone's been a surrogate parent and they've held this property for 5 years, and they have made no money. But there's been previous sales of 400 and recent sales probably 350 to 380K, rents for 300 to 320 in a capital city. And this one here, this looks beautiful. There's an image coming soon because literally I just secured this property as we're going live, and I just thought I'd share it with you guys. $65,000 comparable sales, 85 to 90 grand. You might go, well, I've got no money. You've got 12 grand. I'm sure you can find 12 grand from somewhere. Everyone's got 12 grand. If they don't have 12 grand, they can find 12 grand. They can ask someone, there's 12 mates for $1,000. There's one mate for 12 grand. Find a way to make it happen. If the deal's good enough, you want to see it. $65,000. Rents for 180 to 200 bucks per week. There's like 12 grand on 65, so it's a good return on investment. The next slide. I'll leave this to you guys in the community. I'm mindful that we've been going for 3 hours. Thanks a lot for tuning in. You there, Beau?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
You still awake?
I am certainly awake. I'm inspired by those deals, mate. You can talk for hours. We've done it plenty of nights before. This is just another one to add to the mix.
I see that there's a lot of questions from you guys. I'm going to go through and look at them and maybe answer a few of the questions. Yeah, I'll answer maybe say 5 questions, and then I've got a few other sort of things to chat about, and we'll share them with Beau for answering some of them. Brian asked, do you offer deals to clients that haven't had a map session beforehand or can't get one anytime soon? I don't buy deals for people. I don't just sell properties. I'm not a property salesperson or a real estate agent. I run an investment firm, which is a buyer's agency. I don't just say, okay, buy this property, pay us a fee. I charge a fee for all of these deals, just so we're very clear on things. I don't get backhanded commissions. A real estate agent doesn't pay me. I charge a fee for my service, and I act as your guide to help shepherd you through to build that portfolio and reach your goals. A map session is crucial to have a map session before I buy properties, because I want to make sure that you're buying the right property in line with your goals. I'm not going to be responsible for fucking up your life and wrecking your financial position. So the deal has to be the right thing for you. Do you need cash flow? Do you need equity? Do you need growth? What budget? All those sort of things. But if someone wants to fast track the map session process, I will speak to people earlier if you sign up for the buyer's agency, so I will be able to fit it in. I try to be as available as I can. As I said, I'm going to call my investors on the way home. I speak to people whenever they are free and have a chat with them. So if you do want to join up, speak to my team. Well, actually, it's good that you asked me the question, because there's a slide on the next one to book in a map session or a portfolio review. If you are not an investor of mine already, you need to do a map session, which is fill out the details of that form, email it over to my team. I'm booked out to February for map sessions, so it's very difficult to fit one in. However, I've told my team that I'll take up to 15 people over the Christmas period to chat to, as I'll be driving and going on long drives, whether they're existing investors, which I'll do a portfolio review and reassess your position and work out what we need to do next for 2020 and help you reach your goals. Or if you are coming on board as a map session, either from February onwards, which does pack out because I do have time into the future, I personally host the map session. You're working with me. I help you reach your goals. That's my commitment with you. As for fast tracking it, if you want to come on board as an investor, there is a waiting list for my buyer's agency to join on. So it's normally work with about 15, 20 people at any one time, because I need to make sure I can service and help you reach your goals. So yeah, speak to my team, see what we can do to help you on that journey. I put bicarb in my first drink of the water in the morning. Interesting, I don't know what that does, but I'm into a lot of alternative sort of views and ways to live life and live life to the fullest. My main goal is now to get ahead and active with positive subjects, kicked all the negativity out, now ready to it all around for the better. That's it. Small steps. There's a Chinese, I think it is, proverb, which is death by 1,000 cuts, and people, don't just, get injured from a bad decision that they've made. Generally, it's a lot of bad decisions that lead up that causes certain things to happen. And treatment sometimes is like the same way. You need to fix one thing at a time, and sometimes it might take 12 months, 2 years, or 3 years of healing to get to a better position. I have a huge fear of being around people, so one of my goals was to build a veggie garden to donate to a soup kitchen I volunteer at. So one goal ticked off. That's awesome. That's awesome. I can see Beau, Beau's very much into that, and sustainable living and sustainable goals. Like, if your goals are unsustainable, your lifestyle is unsustainable, you're not going to be getting into a good place. So yeah. Um, why not do a Facebook Live? Then we can see other people's messages. I do Facebook Lives every Tuesday, Tuesday night lives. They're on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure on both channels, B.Invested channels. Sometimes I do them on my personal channel just for a bit of a change. But every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Sydney time, I do them. Um, thanks for the message there, Linda. I just saw that. I'm having trouble with audio. Please send me the recording tomorrow. This will be accessible by people, so keep an eye out for the email. Great content. Yeah, we spoke about that, Luke. Be mindful of people that are cashed up. We spoke about that one. What other questions we've got here? There's so many questions, guys. Thanks a lot for sending them through, and I'll make some filming of it to answer questions and make little mini video sort of videos. Always been a goal setter, but my partner is completely different. He has goals, but zero motivation to work towards them. It's always a mindset that you don't know what will happen tomorrow. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. So if you're not living your best life, then you're in a shit position. It depends on mindset and how you see them. I think it's important that couples work together and have common goals. I think it's healthy for their relationship as well. Not that I'm any relationship advice. I'm probably the worst person for advice on that front. But make sure that like the goal's strong enough and you have clarity, is much more easier to achieve and be able to obtain. So yeah. Please use plain language. I do apologise for that. I can see he's left, so maybe I offended. I need to have a MA 15 plus, but should know what we're getting into when we see Nathan swearing and getting on a video. It should be, should know. Hi Nathan, I live in Adelaide, South Australia. In the past couple of months, I've noticed that there is low supply of property for sale, and the properties sell for over asking price and under contract within a week. With so much government stimulus, how is one to buy a property for under market value? Thumbs up. Good webcast. Give it the positive message. Thank you, Andrew. That's what I was just touching on beforehand. Every country, every state, every place around the world, you cannot escape what's happening with inflation. I'm the happiest motherfucker alive because I've got $18.5 million worth of debt. I've got $70 million worth of property. That shit keeps rising. I've got other investments, other interests. I've got a very large net worth position. I've got money stashed in all different assets which are rising due to inflation. They print money. The more money they print, the less value it has. The cost of it, it's not that the asset's going up, it's just that they're printing more money and you need more money to buy the same thing. You go to Macca's, you're spending more. You go to the shops, you're spending more. Everywhere you're spending more money in the current market. So as to understand where market value lays, you've got to look at recent sales and other properties currently on the market. And in a moving market, it can be difficult. I might actually make a video on that. I'll leave a little note here for my editor when they're watching this to make sure that I make a video on that to talk about how to negotiate in this sort of market. Ayopan, great discussion, Nathan and Beau. Thanks, special thanks to Nathan who's making my goals realised in a couple of months. Humbled, mate, to be a part of your journey and for you to have confidence in what we do. And it's cool to be a part of and see people's growth. Like some of the most interesting and fulfilling investors that I've had have been ones that have been thinking that they can't do it, or there's something that's holding them back. And having that passion of seeing them grow is really cool. Also, some people that I remember being on phone calls, and the person may have called me like 10 times to talk about something. It's like sometimes like just do it. But what I've got to remember is that everybody's at a different position. Some people are like just starting out. Getting into debt is fearful for them. It's very different to what we've been taught up to go to school, get a job, don't get into debt, work and pay it off. The monetary system is flawed. And the fulfillment that I get with people turning around and their knowledge, and then they get it. Like some people just never get it. I've had people come to us with lots of money and can do lots of things, and they just don't get it. I've seen people that have started with little amounts and they've done really, really cool things, and that is fulfilling. It's not a matter of what you've got or whatnot. It's the knowledge that you've got. I've seen people that have got 60 grand and 80 grand incomes, which are doing better than a 400, 500 grand income that should be doing heaps of great things just because mindset, strategy, structure. So yeah, if you're watching this and maybe thinking, oh, I could be doing something different or whatnot, you can reach your goals. And for you, Apan, like that's really cool, and I'm really humbled to be a part of that journey for you. So congrats, mate. Exciting journey, and I look to see what we can do in 2021 to help us as well. Do we set goals on cash flow specific or number of properties? It could be cash flow specific, it could be number of properties. Throughout the journey, we need to work out what we need. Like those 50, 60 grand properties are not the most exciting things in the world, but seeing what they can do and how they can help us reach to where we want to be, that's the cool part. We sort of need to look at, do we need the boat? Do we need the car? Some of those properties which people pulled out 100, 150 grand equity out of, other people may not have been able to do. But the cheap ones they could have done, and then that could have opened the gate for them to do the big one. The ones that to do that, they may have been stuck, and that enabled them to go on and purchase some other properties. So everybody's position is different. That's why it's very delicate with what we do. When you owe the bank 800,000, you've got a problem. When you owe the bank $8 million, they have the problem. Quote from Alan Bond. So interesting, yeah. We had a great point. I totally agree. But now you've ended with waffle. Remember that one. What else do we have? I remember there was an interesting one here that I saw, and for the team. Hi, how do I get a map session with Nathan? In 2014, we paid a couple $100 for a session, and we didn't get very far. I saw this and I giggled a little bit because it goes, we're now trying to purchase our 6 and are stuck. I've sent the details last November. It's now urgent. I've just forwarded the email. Thanks. If you can send me the email over to my team at admin@B.Invested.com.au, which is this one here. The reason why I found it cool is that you're up to your 6th property, right? And most people don't get past 1. They don't get past start go. And for you to be up to your 6th, it's not, okay, most people go, okay, cool, we're at 5 and we're stuck. Let's just park it there and leave it. It's like, I like it that you feel that you've, A, you don't feel like you've done a lot, but you have, but B, what do we need to do to get to the next level? And most people just pack in the tools very easily in life and go, it's all too hard, not going to do it. It's because they don't have clarity, they don't have passion, they don't have vision. So I will take this very personally, Rebecca, and if you can email the team at the email admin@binvested.com.au, and I'll get my team to make a note and be in contact with you to discuss, way forward and hook up a chat for myself and you guys to work on how to get there. But come in for a map session a few years ago, you've built a portfolio. I'm really excited to hear that you've kicked ass. What can we do to help you get from 6 to 10, from 10 to 12, and 12 to 20, and get you to where you want to be? So happy to have that chat. So much information at our fingertips. It's free. When I first started, there was no Google, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no sources of information. So there is so much information out there. What have we got here? I'll email you now, but we're house hunting in Perth. Moved here, have equity and cash, but after this webinar, we're very inspired to talk to you ASAP before we make a big mistake. We really want to build our portfolio, but keep following the same cycle. That needs to change. Map session sounds amazing. I would love a map session, but don't have a deposit or a job yet. It all starts with one action, something that you can do. Whether it's a bit of information you take from today, whether it's that you start today, you're starting. You've been here watching this for 3 hours, so that's really good that you're intrigued, you're interested, learning, educating yourself, which is really cool. Thanks, Nathan, for booking a map session to then being added to your buyer's agent waitlist. What is that approximate wait time frame? It just depends. At the moment, it's probably from an aspect of people wanting to get into the market. Interest rates are basically nothing at this point. You know, being at 2% or 3%, a lot of people looking for yield, hopping in the market. Things have been very busy, so there is a bit of a wait list. Yeah, over Christmas, I will still be working. I won't physically be here in the office. I'll be away for a period of about 4 weeks. I'll be on the phone, having chats, driving. I'll be probably driving about 7,000 kilometres over a month. So, I'll be free to chat and you know, help out as much as I can. So I've got people that I'm working on all the way through Christmas. Real estate agents still want to get paid over Christmas, so they'll want to do deals. There's people that are still motivated to get out of properties, and people that are fearful out there. So yeah, I'm always working to make my investors' goals a reality. So here to help you over that time.
I can back that up. We took a trip to Queensland earlier this year, and he was on the phone for 10 hours straight. Other than stopping for petrol and some food, he was on the phone 10 hours. Yeah, it was a learning experience, no doubt.
Yeah, Beau's seen it. Beau's seen it. Those trips are very quickly after you know, doing that. So yeah, they go fast. Maybe for me, but for Beau listening to 10 hours of me on the phone, 10 hours on the phone, it's sorry, mate.
Oh, it's all learning, mate. Upskill, immersion environment. It's great.
I have one investment property in regional Queensland which is neutrally geared, but it's not capitally appreciating very much. Do I cut my losses and sell to reinvest, or hang in there for the market to come around? A very small amount of info. If you want to flick a bit more info over to the team at admin@B.Invested.com.au, we can go into a little bit further. The more information I ever get, the more I can help. So yeah, you're a champion. Just wanted to say thank you for your time. Appreciate, and thanks for watching, guys. Just on one final note, just as ending, I've just noticed this extra slide. Next year, so this year we've talked a lot about, you know, building up to now, like the depression. I said that we'd have a depression of biblical proportion. The only way out of it is to create more money or currency. That will cause inflation. I think we're going to see a hyperinflation over the next 10 years, which is really exciting. But there's a lot of people which are out of jobs, don't have work, or realize that their income, you know, what can you do? Like, we've talked about goals from all different areas. Beau's talked about, you know, his goals are different than my goals. Your goals will be different than our goals. We've all got different lifestyles, go home to different houses. You know, what can we do to improve each and every part of our life? So, you know, from one aspect, you can get income from your job. Cool, you've got one income stream. You get sick, you can't go to work, you just don't want to go to work, you've got no income. You buy a property, that's going to bring an income stream. That's a passive investment. You buy it, put it aside, generates an income. That income comes in, supports your lifestyle, you benefit from that. So there's a secondary income. If you buy 10 properties and you've got 10 little income streams coming through, which will support your main income, but that's still not enough, right? I feel like I'm the dental man, but wait, there's more, right? If you could have a business that brings in an income, if you could have some other sort of passive investments. I'm not the guy that goes out and buys shares. I don't go out to Birch shares or anything like that. I'm personally not invested in any of that, but I do have investments in all other different asset classes, commodities, financial instruments, very interesting stuff that I get into and I invest into. So you need sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different investment income streams that come from dividends, royalties, or whatnot. But how can you get there, and how can you do it on a low budget as well? Some of you guys might be like, I'm trying to get an extra deposit per year. So you know, do you want to, you know, an extra 20 grand to save up for a deposit? Do you want an extra 30 grand for a deposit? Do you want to build an income stream so you're not so reliant on your job? There's something that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to close off on it, and I don't talk about this out there. I'm looking for 10 people, and this will go out not just to this webinar, but to all of my investors. I work with 10 people because I want it. Some of my goals are to grow the community. I spend a lot of time, as Beau knows, you know, trying to educate you guys. I could be at home, could be at the beach, could be doing whatever. I don't need to be here. But I share my knowledge. I find my knowledge is cool, but you know, trying to spread myself thin is very painstaking. So I've got something going to be launching out there to the community and the greater community. I'm only going to be taking on 10 people for it in 2020, and it's going to be application invite only to come on board for it. Basically what it's going to be is that you can grow your own community and be a part of our community. So it's called Agent Express, and basically, in short, a lot of you guys are excited by property, interested in property. You've got your own communities, you've got your own networks, you've got your own people that you're with. I'm going to build an affiliate sort of, I don't like the word affiliate program, but more so, where you can work with your own community and we can share the same sort of goals. I can give you guys knowledge, help you grow out your community and build a little business on the side. So if you wanted to build, if you've got your income, if you're bringing 50 grand, cool, you got 50 grand. You got properties that are bringing in 10, 15 grand each, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10, cool, you've got more income streams. If you want to have a business, you can go out and set up a coffee shop. Coffee shop, you've got fixed costs of 300 grand a year, probably cost you 250, 300 grand to set up that business. You might make 50 or 100 grand. I speak to people in food-based businesses. They spend a lot of money on setup, and then they have to refit out every sort of few years. So a lot of expenses to get in the business. Basically, what I'm going to do in 2021 is work with a small group of 10 people to help them build their own little business and their own little network, which will be very low cost. There will be a cost to get involved with it, and it's a token cost of $5,000 to come on board. That's just commitment and hurt money for you guys to be committed to working on and building the greater cause to help your life. If I'm spending time with you guys and Beau's spending time with you guys, Beau will be training and nurturing and helping you build that out, because that's what he specializes in. If you guys want to build that secondary sort of income stream, write to us on the email admin@B.Invested.com.au. Agent Express is what it is called, Agent Express. Basically what Agent Express was and designed for was to help our shared services with real estate agents in the past. It was a really cool model that I built, and I want to share that with our investors to be able to build their own little networks, their own little communities where you can help teach, shepherd, and grow and help other people reach their goals via what we do. But it'll only be working with 10 people. You have to be on good character. It's not saying that, because you're not involved with it, that we don't think you're of good character, but I know that we're going to have, dozens, hundreds, I don't know how many people that will be interested in that. Something I've never done beforehand to the community, but I'd like to work with people and grow the business, grow their own personal position, and grow, the more. So if you are interested in building a secondary income, it might be, 10 grand a year you earn, it might be 50 grand a year, you might be earning 150 grand a year, you might be able to replace your income and not have to go to work and earn a job. If you're thinking of building a business, replacing your income, have a laptop lifestyle, be able to, talk about property, be around property, help people on their journey. And if you do like what I do and you do want to sort of like mentoring you to build your own little sort of community and sort of income stream so you can live life on your terms, doing the things that you're passionate about as well, do send us an email, admin@binvested.com.au. Beau, thoughts, question, feedback on that as well?
Yeah, mate, it's going to be a big 2021. We've got some big plans in place. Nathan's got some great contacts in the media. He's got a great reputation there, so we're going to really ramp that up. And yeah, we're looking to help more people within the B.Invested community increase their income streams, not with gimmicks and bullshit, with actual, real good services and real money, not things you have to keep investing heaps of time in to make, $20. It's not worth your time. So yes, there is some hurt money in it. We're going to give you all the training. You get access to myself. You're going to get access to Nathan, a lot of mentoring, a lot of training, and it's going to be an ongoing thing. We want to invest in you. The more we make you a success, the more people you can help, and obviously the whole community will grow.
Awesome. Thank you, Beau. Just want to thank you for being here for 3 hours this evening with me, talking about stuff. And
yeah. One of the last things I'll finish on, mate, is someone mentioned before they're 50 years of age. When I was reading, it would have been like 6 years ago across AFR, BRW, and through some of the Australian Bureau of Statistics, majority of people within Australia who earn significant portions of their wealth make it in their 50s and 60s. So if you're wanting to do it now, now's a great time to start. But majority of the people who built wealth have built it in that time frame in the 50s and 60s years of age. Why? They've got established networks, they've got experience, they've got contacts, they've been through a number of cycles, they've seen the highs and lows, they've seen it, they've experienced it. So, age is, not a factor. Yes, it may be, in your mind, but if you want to have purpose, you want to have direction, vision, that you're working towards longer than a retirement. You still want to be actively doing something. You hear too many stories of people who retire and they're bored shitless within 3 to 6 months, and some people even have a heart attack and pass away because they don't have purpose. Why are you here? Why you keep going? What's the purpose? What impact? Is it charity? Is it building your portfolio? Is it helping your kids? Not giving them a handout, giving them a hand up, and making sure you empower them, empower the community, whatever is important to you. You need to have purpose to get out of bed every day and show up. And if you're young and you're 20, you got time. Yet again, you got time to make some mistakes. Yet again, get around the right advisors, get around the right support structures so you can fast track your success. And the biggest thing, like you learned from Nathan's goals before, if you kind of took something away from that, is he was ambitious, he was driven. And if you look at some of the goals he reviewed over the last 10 years, that his goal was to do 150k turnover income, and he achieved that, and well and above and beyond that now. In regards to his portfolio, 40 by 35 or whatever, he's got 200 plus, by 30, 35. So, play the long game. You've got to work hard. Like a friend of mine, Andrew, he said, he's got about 10, $15 million worth of property. He works harder than most people I know. Nathan probably works harder than him, but majority of the people, his output is 5 times what most other people do, and that's why he's got the results at the age of 34. He's got a significant portfolio behind him. So you got time. It's how can I make more mistakes faster, not costly ones, learning distinctions. How can I upskill, level up as fast as possible? Be around the right people, get on whatever train you can get that's going somewhere, and be a part of that journey. So that's just a couple, final words from me. Really enjoyed tonight. Learned a lot from Nathan, as I always do. Like everyone else here, he puts a smile on my face every day. We have plenty of laughs in the office when we do have time together, when we're not in meetings and building, teams and divisions and the businesses. But yeah, hopefully you've taken a lot out of tonight. And he always goes above and beyond. And yet again, he's put an extra hour and 15 into this kind of live broadcast for you tonight.
Awesome, Beau. Thank you very much, mate. And thanks a lot for everyone tuning in and being a part of your household for tonight. But then I'm also thinking this is the last webinar that we're going to do of this year. I don't know when the next one will be. Generally the first Wednesday of every month. I'm not going to be doing one in January, maybe in February. I just want to thank you for all of your support during this year. It's been an awesome year. I do it because you guys sort of motivate me to do it, and it's inspirational to be able to keep pushing myself and being able to see people grow and achieve things they want to do. So I just want to thank you for tuning in, having us both as a part of your evening. If you do have a business, just as a side note, Beau has helped out a lot, just with processes, systems, procedures, all that sort of stuff in the community this year, in the business. If you do have a business and you do want to grow that as well, I've got no business affiliation like I do. Beau does his own thing and all that sort of stuff, and hand on the chest, what he does is awesome. So I couldn't recommend him enough if you guys need help with your personal business. So on that note, if you do need clarity for next year, book it for a map session. If you do want to be a part of the Agent Express and build a second income stream, or build an income stream to replace your work, we can work with you on building up that little network and community where we can work together. Lots of cool things. I know 2020, probably for 3 years, I was going through some personal sort of struggles, just changing things, trying to push forward and grow. Personally, just they say that new levels bring new devils, and there's always a hurdle and something a gatekeeper trying to stop you from growing. I wouldn't be where I am, without pushing through those hurdles. And the last 3 years, when I look back, my 2020 has been the most amazing year of my life. Done really cool things. Things are going great. And for 2021, I'm very, very optimistic. I've never been so optimistic in my life. So I guess we'll come back this time next year and see what I've done, what you guys have done, and be able to check back in. I think it'll be good to check back in to see, what you've made of 2021. We all sit there. So many people sit there and say, "Oh, it's going to be the best year of my life." Drink a few drinks, whatever. And you're entering into the new year. Like, I see people walking around. Like sometimes I go for a walk before fireworks go off, wherever I'm located. I see people just all fucking messed up. Like that's what you're bringing into your next year, and it's good to have clarity as to where you're going. When the clock ticks over, rest assured, wherever I am, I might have one or two drinks, and I'll be sitting there going, "Fuck, like this is going to be the best year of my life," and it can be of you too. So on that note, we'll catch up soon, and take care and be safe and get them answered. Bye for now, guys.
Cheers, guys.